Hi, you guys. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Live Discussions with Dr. Jefferson. I'm your host, Dr. Jefferson. If you guys are tuning in for the first time, I want to say hey, and I want to welcome you guys to this platform and to give you a generalized description. I know that I kind of went live a couple of times on my platform today, and that's a little confusing for some of you, but the majority of you who follow me and have done for a while know that I've been kind of out of commission for a bit. So I'm trying to get caught up. And hey, I got a really great show for you guys around accountability. We're going to talk about Kevin Samuels. I got a question from a viewer who said, "What is wrong with Kevin Samuels followers?" What is wrong with Kevin Samuels followers? Who would have thought that somebody would ask that question? I'm being facetious, but no, seriously. That's the viewer's question. And we're going to view a particular video today. And we're going to, get some reactions, responses, or what have you. We're going to talk about the generalized argument that he presents in this conversation with this young lady. Have you guys seen this already? I'm going to play a little bit of it so you know what we're going to watch before I go into the pre-show.
Go
ahead, I'm listening.
You can don't tell me what to do. I'll go when I get ready. Because I'm really trying to be polite to you, young lady, but I'm about to, it's not going to turn out too well. I don't know if you talk to your father this way?
Unfortunately, no, but he passed away when I was young.
Sad. Anyway, that's what we're going to watch today. We're going to talk a bit about the content in this particular video and all that good stuff. But let me go ahead and get these disclaimers out of the way, you guys, and get this pre-show out of the way. Make sure that if you guys intend to watch the video, but you aren't in rhythm into rhythm and blues and rock or whatever, like I am, give yourself about 3 minutes and then come on back, and then we will jump right into this thing and we'll start talking about what our topic entails, and we'll start reviewing this content. I will have a special guest feature tonight with the official urban therapist, and I will open up for a panel discussion after I kind of go through each one of these talking points based on the content presented in today's video. Just know that this is an accountability channel. Any content that is submitted to us is typically submitted so that we can hold those people in the video content accountable for issues that they discuss or topics they discuss that affect the Black and brown or melanated community in America and abroad. For me, I think it's really important for us to have this conversation, but also I think it's important to answer the viewer's question. What is wrong with people who are invested wholeheartedly in Kevin Samuels and follows him quite blindly? But let's have the discussion, right? So let's jump right into this, and I will be back in a moment. See you in a moment. Hello again. Welcome to Life Discussions with Dr. Jefferson. Again, I am your host, Dr. Jefferson, and we're going to get right into this content today. I want to, again, welcome you guys to the show. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you go ahead and do that on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. If you guys are trying to figure out where you can catch me, I think you can pretty much find me anywhere if you type in the hashtag DocLQJSpeaks or Life Discussions with Dr. Jefferson. And I am a podcast. I am a whole mood and all that good stuff. Video cast, you name it, I got it. It's on the internet. Google it and click like, subscribe, share, and you will get an abundance of content around mental health issues, social justice issues, incongruence issues, and some viable solutions as to how we combat and we fix those issues that present in our community as melanated people. Okay, so in this video that we're going to view today, Kevin Samuels, and for those of you who don't know who he is a fellow content creator, and he's been known to develop some very controversial content on his channel. He has also been known to be a person who is considered to be a woman hater by people who are a part of cancel Kevin Samuels culture. And he's been a very interesting person to cover for the period of time that I've covered him. And I guess today is kind of like, a little different, because we're going to talk about the specificity of his arguments, right? And we're going to talk about how they affect the people who are viewing them from a psychological perspective. We're going to talk about his arguments in general and some of the questions that he asked and the validity they have to our community and the way that we relate to one another in the Black and Brown community. Because some of these things, I think that people are so caught up in his delivery oftentimes that they miss the overarching message. They're not concerned with the message at all. And I think that sometimes we have to be people that just call a thing, right? And understand that some things in our lives will make us feel uncomfortable. Some things will unseat us. Some things will piss us off. And that's okay. Because when things move you emotionally, typically there is a response of action that follows that seeks to mitigate said issue. If you recognize that, that it exists and it resonates with you. However, I do believe in freedom of perspective and respecting people's perspectives and, being respectful as you realign people who happen to be misaligned for whatever reason. So there's that. But without further ado, I'm going to kind of jump into playing some content from this video because we have a bit to cover today. And I kind of want to be out here in 2 hours or whatever. Like I said, I will open up the panel for discussion. I will be reviewing you guys' comments and commentary or whatever. If you are a moderator on my channel, please understand that I want everybody to have an opinion that is heard tonight. But please be on your job and moderate appropriately. If people need to be timed out, let's time them out. If they need to be blocked, let's block them. Let's do what it is that we are here to do and have those very difficult conversations around accountability as it relates to Kevin Samuels and some of his typical rhetoric that he gets in on a day-to-day. So that's what I got. Let's bring up this content. And I'm only going to start from the front, like this beginning, because I want to be a little bit of a jerk today. Okay. Just going to look at him. It looks terrible. As one of his viewers right now.
This is called work ethic. I said I'd be exhausted. No, man, it's called work ethic. Work. So here's what we're going to do. The question is, is it too late? Is it too late or to do the work? Is it time to just give up? Is it too far gone? What's the dealio? Because I'm seeing a lot. When I run into the men out in the world, and they're like, man, I think women are too far gone, and then some women are. Then I hear some men who are pretty far gone in their mentality. I'm like, basically trying to say, like all 100% of the women are just trash and this and that. Like, well, damn. Are we at a place to where people are just giving up? And let's talk about it. As a woman, have you just given up? Are you just like, F it? I'm 300 pounds. I'm going to be 300 pounds until I die. I ain't going to lose the weight. No matter what you say, no matter what nobody do, this is what it is. Is that's what the deal is?
So I think that he does ask a really good question here. And I'm curious how you guys feel. Of course, I'm going to invite you guys to comment. Let me know if you feel like it is too late. Society is too far gone to the left or to the right. Either way, do you feel like it's too late to invest in marriage, love, and relationships? Do you feel like marriage is a poor investment overall, right? Like, what do you feel as it applies to people and the propensity for them moving into a relationship in our community? Do you feel like it's worth it to go through that process? Do you feel like you will become one of the statistics, or are you fairly hopeful for what marriage has to offer, right? And hopeful for what it'll look like for you.
Is that where you're at, ladies? And then as a man, are you like, man, forget this, man? These the streets. These pros ain't loyal. I mean, where you at? And if so, then what's the alternative? Because I hear a lot of men talking about, going overseas and dating abroad, and I'm like, oh, that sounds nice. But many of you guys ain't even been, from one coast to another. Many of you ain't even been out of your own state, man. That's what we got to do. That's what we got to do. What are you going to do? Where we at? Is it too far gone? Is it too far gone? And I tell you, young ladies, I would say this. A lot of the older women, a lot of older women would love for you to be just as jaded as them. They want you to feel just as bad. See, have you ever asked yourself a question? Why do some of the younger women feel like they're so left out by some of the older women? Because, at least older men, OGs will at least try to put the young bucks up on game. Older women ain't trying to tell younger women nothing. That en masse, they might pretty much look at y'all like y'all are competition. That's a wrap. Oh Lord, you got your ass all out in your pictures. If I look on your Instagram and all it is booty pictures, I'm not bringing you on. I'm not trying to hear it. I want a conversation. I mean, do you? But no, this ain't that kind of get down. This ain't that kind of get down. She just bounced. Now you can have some, some tasteful folks, some pictures up there, but try not to be all, golly. So what is it? Is it a wrap? And if it is a wrap, then what? Because that's what I want to know. If it's a wrap, especially when I hear a lot of dudes talking about, a lot of women, yeah, when I hear women talking about, these dudes out here ain't this, these dudes out here ain't that. Okay. You talking about black men. So here's the thing. What you gonna do? Where you gonna go? Where are you going to go if black men seem to be all you got. Anybody else trying to, I mean, 80+% of any group is going to be with its group. 80+% of its group is going to be with its group. So where do you think you're going to go if you don't get with somebody of your group? The people who can date outside their group effectively are the top 20%. You got to be in the top 20%, really effectively in the top 10% to effectively have the best shots of dating out. So if you're not a woman in the top 20%, top 10% of women, you can knock off your bread and all them other fantasies. Not going to happen. And I think a lot of women honestly believe that they can just go out to any other race and, well, I'll go get me a non-black man. Right. Not going to happen, ladies. They're not checking for you, and you might as well take that off your default plan. It sounds just as crazy as when these women talk about, I'm going to, after I graduate, after I retire, I'm going to travel the world. You work at the post office. But now all of a sudden, after you retire, you're going to all of a sudden become independently wealthy and go to Paris.
Hey.
Hello.
How are you?
So, I am well. What do you got for me? Is it over?
Is it over? I would not say so. Just because I think there's just too many people in the world for it to be over. You know what I mean?
What do you mean too many people in the world?
I mean, the opportunities to meet someone new or someone who's willing to date. I live in Philly.
Most people don't live in Philly.
They don't. That's very true. Slim pickings here, I'd say. But in comparison, if I travel, if I really want to meet somebody.
When's the last time you've been out of the country?
2013, I think.
Where'd you go?
I went to Spain.
Right,
I ran basketball.
So basically, it's 2000.
I was with. It was really fun.
2021.
I was like too young today.
You're 2021 right now. And did you work? You said you were with your family when you were in Spain?
No, I went with this basketball group. I was literally there for 2 weeks to run basketball camps. It was not a trip.
You didn't pay for it?
No, I didn't pay. I did pay for it, actually. Yeah, of course.
How much did it cost you?
But so I was 18 when I went. So the intention was never to go there to date or meet anybody.
How much
did it cost
you when you went?
It costs like $2,000.
You ain't been out of the country.
To stay there for 2 weeks. But again, it was my mom paid for it.
So, no, see, what I'm trying to show is how unrealistic what you just said. I don't think it's over because of how big the world is. And you ain't never been out of the country on your own money.
Right, but if I wanted to, I could, right? I was too young back then. If I wanted to now, of course I could.
No, could you?
Yeah, I could.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a leasing consultant.
And in Philly, how much you making annually?
Enough to try if I want it, but I think
I don't know what that means. Why? See, y'all can't get on here and play bullshit with me. You can't put it out there and say I can do it if I wanted to. When I ask about it, you'll get vague. Then it's gonna be bad.
I just don't want to put my financial situation out there.
Well, then I'm gonna call bullshit because then if you could, you would.
Well, I don't feel the need to because I feel
you're a leasing consultant at apartments. How?
Yeah.
All right, you ain't rich.
Definitely not rich.
You're middle class. That's the point. See?
Yeah,
this is why things go bad because there was no reason to come in here and make this situation anything other than a pleasant conversation. You start off
with
What's
not pleasant about it?
Well, when you start becoming evasive, when you say, I'll tell you what was unpleasant because I don't think sometimes a lot of you black women realize how shitty you're being. Mm-hmm. You think being snarky and impolite is just normal.
Right.
So I'll tell you what was wrong. When I said, is it over? He said, no, because of the opportunities of all the people around the world. And then I went to test that.
Yeah.
Have you ever been out of the country? Yes.
I think you were assuming that I had exhausted all of my options. Are you paying
attention to how you got there?
Well, I haven't exhausted all my options here.
Are you paying attention to how we got to the snarky part yet?
No, 'cause I don't think I was being snarky. I think it would be different if, yeah, if I had exhausted all my
Hey,
options
hey,
here.
hey, 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 hey. That's not how this shit works.
How does it work?
You're about to find out real quick. You don't get to change the subject and do that. If I was talking about something, we're gonna stay on that subject. Oh, you are free to strike up your own Instagram and talk about whatever you want to. That's rude. How old are
I
you?
apologize.
How old are you?
I'm 25.
And in Philly, and I understand. And Philly got some of the worst women in the world.
Am I one of them?
So far, you're right on par. I'm proud of it too.
No, I apologize.
You ain't got to apologize. You gonna that's you. This what you got to deal with, not me. This is how you go into conversations with people you don't even know, just making it, pissing and shitting all over the place just because. That's cool. It was unnecessary.
All right, so let's talk about what you wanted to talk about then.
Well, 25-year-old, you got the floor. Go ahead, because I was going down the path, but apparently I don't know what I'm talking about. So you got it. Tell
No,
us why it's not over.
this is your platform. I'm just
Oh,
a
we already
guest.
tried it. I've already tried it my way, but apparently you got something else. So you go ahead.
No, I think I want to talk about what you want to talk about. People don't want to watch this to hear what I want to talk about. They want to hear what you want to talk about. So I want to listen to that.
When's the last time you had a relationship?
Um, like 5 months ago.
How long did that last?
It was 3 years.
And who ended it?
I ended it.
Why?
I ended it because it was just becoming toxic. I think when I started the relationship, I wasn't ready probably. I don't think either of us were really ready. So it just kind of spiraled. So before we hated each other, we just decided to just get
What
out
does
of it.
toxic mean? Toxic is a buzz. Toxic is a buzzword that women throw around like men throw around entrepreneur.
Sure. Toxic in the sense that it was just this cycle of hurting each other that we couldn't seem to stop. It was not healthy for either of us.
Okay. So what do you want? Do you want to be married one day?
Eventually, yeah. But I think that relationship kind of just
You want
taught
children?
me. Do I want
You
children?
want,
Yeah.
how many?
Yeah. 2 max.
So what do you mean eventually? You're 25,
Eventually.
right? You're,
Yeah,
you're
I mean,
25, right?
yeah.
You're 25. So eventually,
I
there's
mean,
no
eventually,
eventually. There's a time. There's a clock that all you women biologically have to deal with. So you can't just say eventually. There needs to be a time frame. You're
yeah,
almost. So when? By what age would you like to be married by?
I guess ideally, I would want to be married by 32, I'd say safely.
Uh-huh.
So
And how
yeah,
long you
so
gonna be married before you have your first kid?
for like 2 years. So I guess I would be married. I would
Okay, so you'd
two.
be married at 32, 2 years before you have your first kid. So you wouldn't start having kids until you're at geriatric pregnancy, 35.
No. So I mean, I should have said ideally I want to be married at 30, have kids at 32, but be married by 32 for sure.
Uh-huh. So
You know.
another sister that thinks that you should start worrying about getting married at the wall. 30 is too old for
I just want to
marriage.
be ready for marriage. I mean, I just want to be ready. I don't want to just rush and get married just for the sake
Okay,
of,
well, I would say this. Were your mother and father married?
They were. And my mom was she actually had me when she was 37. So, I mean, special
Uh-huh.
case, it doesn't happen
So
often,
your
but
mother, so does your mother, how many children does your family have?
it's just me, which is why I feel like I need to have kids.
Oh, no, that now explains a lot. See, only children, especially only children of the women, some of the most difficult, problematic people on the planet.
Yeah.
They're
Why?
spoiled, selfish, delusional.
Okay.
Only child syndrome is real. So, um, yeah.
What?
So, what kind of dog do you have?
I don't have it. I'm a cat person.
Oh, okay. You have, where'd you go to college?
I went to Drexel.
You have a graduate degree?
No, I don't have a graduate degree.
You plan on going to grad school?
It's not in the cards right now. I don't have plans to do it. I might.
Where'd you get your undergrad?
I would just. I went for biology and athletic training.
So now here comes a hard question. Why did you go to college to become an apartment leasing agent?
Why did I? Oh, I think, as you move along in life, you just realize that you don't have, you're not married to whatever you went to college for. You can choose different career paths if you want.
What did you plan on?
It
What did you
makes
plan
sense.
on doing with that?
I plan on doing athletic training, of course, but then I just realized,
Athletic training for
unfortunately,
whom?
yeah, so that's the thing. It's like the trajectory of that career path just wasn't, it's not for Black women, really. I can't really level up to the level that I wanted to.
No. Nope.
I mean,
Nope.
it's just
It's
like,
not for Black women. Right. Okay.
I mean,
So
because there are just
when
some
you went
career
to
paths.
school, the one thing we don't do is don't talk. When you went to school, for biology,
Yeah.
right? And you planned on being an athletic trainer. What does that mean?
So an athletic trainer is a medical professional for athletes at different
Why
levels,
did you
at
go
the
to school in
collegiate level.
kinesiology?
It's all kind of molded in the same degree. So it was a dual degree program.
Okay.
So
So
yeah.
you went to become an athletic trainer at the collegiate level.
So once you get the degree, you have the option of doing it collegiately, sure. Collegiately at the high
I'm
school
asking
level.
you, what did you plan on doing? See,
My goal was to do it collegiately.
all right. So
But it takes time. It takes time
No.
as far as
See,
job experience.
so this is what I mean. You can't. This is going to be another one. Just.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
You can tell. Don't tell me what to do. I'll go when I get ready. Because I'm really trying to be polite to you, young lady, but I'm about to. It's not going to turn out too well. I don't know if do you talk to your father this way?
Unfortunately, I mean, no, but he passed away when I was young.
Well, you don't talk to me. I'm not your peer. I'm not your
Okay.
age. I'm trying to understand where your head is.
Right.
Because you went to school in biology and you're an apartment leasing agent, talking about there's never too late to people all over the world. And what are you doing with yourself? You want to get married at 30, have your first kid at 32, but
I'm what?
you're
Are you saying that that's
unmoored and
unrealistic?
chaotic. Nothing you said is realistic. You're not. You went to, how much student loan debt do you have?
I don't have any of that.
Good, but you have a useless degree in biology. It's useless. You have no high income skill. That's why you're a leasing agent at apartments, because you have no high income skill. And if you don't get married, the amount of collegiate trainers is finite.
Yeah,
How
that's
do
why
you
I
plan
didn't
on
want to
taking
do
care
it.
of yourself until from here? How do you plan on taking care of yourself to the end of your days if your relationship problems persist?
Well, I guess the point is to learn from those relationship problems so they don't,
And how are you doing that now?
by taking time to kind of just date.
Right. You're your own. So you're in charge of this process. The person who drove it in the ditch. See, this is what I mean, gentlemen, ladies. Women in general, Black women in particular, have been allowed to go to school with no plan. Just go out and do shit. Act like time doesn't matter. Again, everything I've asked you about is time frame, schedule, and structure. And and if you just listen, it makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you? And when I asked you how much money you make, you didn't want to tell because you ain't making. I mean, the average apartment leasing agent makes less than $50,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
So we can knock off the BS. You have no plan.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't get married, you living on one income. How you gonna get to retirement and living comfortably in retirement by yourself on one income with a biology degree?
I think I'll get married.
Shit, you think this is gonna get married?
Why? Why don't you think I'm gonna get married?
Shit.
Why do you think I'm gonna get married? Why?
Oh wow. Some of these young ladies don't even know what they don't know, and you think it's funny, but I'm not a toy. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'll let you talk, because I'll make money off of this.
Absolutely.
But I'm supposed to. You,
Right.
you on the other hand, this isn't funny. What is your plan for life? Seriously.
I'm honestly still trying to figure it out. But I think the one thing that helps is that I know myself pretty well. So I'm kind of just using that to help me navigate where I am.
Who do you live with?
I live with my roommate. You both live in my house.
In your house.
Yeah.
So by what age do you think you should have? Because if you say you're going to be married by 30, you're 25, you're not sending anyone seriously.
Mm-hmm.
By what age do you think you should start panicking?
Never panic, first of all. I probably will start dating seriously again and looking to date seriously by around like 28.
Okay.
2 years.
So
That's reasonable.
This whole thing started off with men saying they don't want to give up, but they feel the average black woman is too far gone, and you've done nothing to assuage those fears.
You don't think 2 is enough to?
She wants to start worrying about. She start seriously dating at 28.
Again.
A woman who's had a 3-year relationship that you said ended because you, again, as if you control the access to marriage. Men control access to marriage and relationship. See, that's what I mean. Black women have been allowed to just think, well, whenever I decide I want to do it, I'll get it. What about you? What about your relationship history has proven to you that you can be a wife?
I think the fact that I'm willing to learn from the relationships, honestly.
That means somebody needs to marry you on your potential. I asked, what about your relationship history has proved to you that you are ready to be a wife?
Well, maybe I'm not a wife right now.
Well, then how do you plan on seriously dating to become a wife at 28? If the only person in charge of this process is you, and you're the one that drove her into a ditch. See, that's what I mean. Let me give you a little secret here. You don't take relationships seriously. You think they just happen.
Sure.
Or you think men are supposed to do something, and it's you the one that's unfit. You're unfit. Unfit for anything other than dating. Casual fun.
At this point, I would agree with that. That's what I'm doing.
And you're doing nothing to change it.
Yeah.
So this is why I don't feel upset or bad when you're in the danger zone or in no man's land, because just like a person who doesn't prepare to pass a class, if you don't prepare to be in a relationship, when you fail at them, this is what you get. So when you become one of the 3 out of 4 black women who don't marry in your lifetime, you'll look back on this conversation and said, I came on there joking, thinking it was funny and ha ha ha, and I blew an opportunity to find something because I take life as a joke because I'm 25 and I feel like I'm young and I got time. And you don't. You don't. You're in the prime of your breeding. You're in the prime of your marital years. After 25, it goes downhill.
But do you think it's possible for someone to learn how to be a better wife or partner when they're single?
No.
Why?
Learn how to be a better wife?
Partner, yeah. I mean, do you think
Who's
someone could
teaching
actually
you?
prepare?
Who's teaching you how to be a wife?
I mean, yeah, but it's just like, as
Who's
far as
supposed to
like,
teach you how to be a wife?
I guess some women learn from their mothers and things like that, or I mean,
Ask
also your
you.
husband.
No. I specifically said who's supposed to teach you how to be a wife.
Who's supposed to teach me? I mean, I guess I don't see marriage. I mean, I don't know. I feel like when you're partners with someone, you learn from each other, like, and you work together.
No. So again,
So,
this. So the answer is who's supposed to teach you, and you don't even know who's supposed to teach you.
who's supposed to teach me?
Your mother,
Right,
because she's supposed to be a wife.
right.
But this is my point. So if you would even step aside from outside of yourself and just use your education and your intellect to realize how unprepared you are, you're approaching relationships like a kid.
Yeah.
Like it's just supposed to be on-the-job training. Excuse me, sir. I want you to hire me for the most important job you'll ever hire a woman for. The mother of your children, the person you commingle DNA with, and you're supposed to entrust me with the raising and nurturing of your legacy. And I want you to do that all on the basis that I am open to learn on the job training. Sorry, nobody hires anybody on potential. People hire people on competency.
Well, how would they know?
They get taught.
No, but how would they know
They
that I
get
am fit?
taught.
How?
Because I've known. It's easy to see. You're not serious. You think relationships are games and jokes. You're not learning. You haven't been prepped to learn. You think that modern women like yourself think that, hey, I'm just supposed to be in a relationship, and then when I'm there, we'll just figure it out. No, they're supposed to be getting taught this stuff from the time you were a girl.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you're 25 and you don't even know who's supposed to have taught you. Women have failed you to the point to where a reasonable conversation has become contentious because you think men are toys or be played with or like it's a game. You don't have this whole dynamic is going to further go to prove my point. The disconnect between so many modern black women and men. You treat us like your adversary instead of being on our team as our ally, even one that's twice your age.
Yeah.
This is our culture, and you're endemic of it. Now go back to how we began this all. Do you think it's over? No, I think there are worldwide people. You don't make enough money to travel worldwide. You ain't been worldwide, so that's just talk. It's just talk. You can't go worldwide, just like men can't go worldwide. That means you're gonna have to date from Philly. Well, pickings are slim. There are more men that are husbands than there are women that are wives.
I do want to say something about the whole using the black men, how we treat them as an adversary. I will say, as far as how I was raised, I wasn't raised to see a traditional marriage in the sense of seeing like my mother and my father. So my father was sick for the majority of my life. Mother took care of him. That's pretty much the whole capacity. So I've actually seen the tail end of marriage and like what marriage can become. And that is, I feel like, why I'm so hesitant to start relationships, because you have to be prepared for the worst when you get married. No one can really teach you how to be resilient, as far as, you have to kind of learn that through your own experiences.
What do you think you just told me? Your mother took care of her husband as she was supposed to because it's her duty.
It's hard. That's what I'm pointing. It's very hard for years. And so it's like marriage. I mean, it can come to that.
That's
So, yeah, but not
excuse
everyone's
me.
ready for that.
That's why you need ladies who are going to become cat ladies. Spencerville. No waiting. Because you don't want hard. It's hard.
I'm saying
It's
people
going to
should
be
just be
hard. Like
prepared.
being a husband or
Sometimes
taking care of
people,
a wife isn't hard. Uh-huh. Yeah.
I mean,
You can't make this up.
but that's not
Can't
why
make
I don't
it
want to
up.
date. It's just because like I
You
have to
can't
know
make
that I'm
it
ready
up.
for that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, just talking.
So I'm like putting my phone.
Just talking. This generation, your generation of women You're like the boys of summer. You expect life to be easy. You saw your mother do her duty until your father passed. That's part of the vows. For better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, sickness and health, to death do you part.
Yeah, and
Yeah, but you only want.
why.
But so, ma'am, I'm helping you out right now. You're not fit for a relationship, and that's fine. And you're not trying to become fit for a relationship. You're not trying to be anybody's wife. So what that means is after you have passed 35, because you're 25 right now, and all you know is youth. But in 5 years, you're going to go back to this conversation and realize that, you know what, he was trying to tell me something to get my shit together, but I just thought I had more time.
Yeah.
And when you run out of time, you'll be like so many other women who are going to be complaining about the caliber and quality of men. There ain't no men out here because you mismanaged your prime marrying years.
Yeah.
And why did you do it? To get a useless biology degree, to go be a leasing agent in an apartment complex, because you don't have a career. You went to college for nothing. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a waste.
I can go again. I have no debt. Well, if I wanted to.
You say that again?
I could go to college again if I wanted to. I have no debt.
What did I say, gentlemen? When it gets hard, when it gets tight, what one of the first places black women run? Back to school.
Is that bad? Should I not do that?
Is school gonna be your husband?
No, but maybe I find my husband at school.
And this is what we've allowed our young women to believe.
Or not. I mean, so what? I wouldn't go there looking for a husband. I would go there again if I needed to.
That's your problem. You should go everywhere looking for a husband. That's what your counterparts do. That's why they get married. Black women go to college to prove they don't need a man. Most women go to college to find a man.
Right. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't go. I mean, if I can meet a man for free, I'd spend thousands of dollars to meet my husband at college.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Juxtapose her with that 24-year-old the other day on Friday. This is the perfect bookend. She thinks she's being funny. This is what they've been raised to be. Useless. Useless to anyone. Useless to anyone but themselves. Ma'am, let's see how honest you can be.
Okay.
What use are you to a man at this point in your life?
At this point in my life, I don't know. I mean, I date. I have fun. I mean, I'm a good time. I'm funny. I have a good sense of humor. I am caring. So? Yeah, I'm very funny. I have a good sense of humor. I'm attractive. What
would you rank yourself on a scale from 1 to 10? Just in case you can't use 7.
Okay. Without makeup, I'm probably a 6.
Okay.
With makeup, I'm probably honestly an 8. And I say that comfortably.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'11" and a half.
Dress size?
I'm 4.
So you're almost 6 feet tall, which is going to make it exceptionally difficult for you to find a spouse.
Absolutely. Well,
no, yeah. That's just how it is. Exceptionally difficult to find a spouse. So, and I'm going back to what I said. What makes you of use to a man? And you said that I'm funny.
Yeah. Goes a long way. I can cook. Guys like girls who can cook. Whatever. I can cook. What else? I can cook. I can clean. I can be supportive too as well. You know, like you said, I don't necessarily have a career of my own at this point. If I did meet a husband who has a better career than me, or even
and honestly, and this is what I mean, man. So, if you were to put a salary on what you bring to the table, those things, how much do you think it'll be worth as far as what a man makes? If you say what I bring to the table, all those things should equate a man making about X a year, what would that be?
I'd say 100 grand.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up. You think being a holy shit, this is our women are, oh my God.
What else do you guys want?
You think what you just described puts you in the top 10% of all earners in this country. 10% of men make
100
$100,000.
grand? I think a lot more people make 100 grand on average.
Look at her face, guys.
Yeah.
Look, she really believes this. 10%.
Well, maybe I just know different people. I just know a lot of people who they just make.
Shit, man. And this and gentlemen, this is why it is so easy for women like her to devalue you, because she thinks being funny, so she says, can cook, can clean. You think you think you're the shit. I mean, no offense, you think you're the shit. You come across like that, you talk like that, your whole demeanor is like you're the stuff. And I've just let you do it. I've let you do it so you could just, I have not said anything to just let you glow up. And you've only gotten brighter and brighter and brighter. You really think that. And you honestly think that is worth a man going out to make $100,000 a year. That is why so many young black women are going to die alone. Remember what I told you about Dr. Tia Son Johnson, that women in their college class, looking at men in their very same college class, felt like what they were bringing to the table was worth $100,000 more. Ma'am, that ain't even worth $40,000.
But I date men who average that. So.
Yeah. And then again, what did I say before, guys? Because they can date them, deal with them, they think that means their new sexual marketplace value is up there. Unless you've had a man making over $100,000 a year drop to one knee and present a ring with significant carriage in public and ask you to be his wife, it doesn't matter.
True.
So people may not like my tone, may not like anything, but it's all rooted in the same facts, status, statistics, logic, and the knowledge of our people and our women. And this is it. This is what you really think. $100,000. No, ma'am. Let me finish. This is what far too many women and you think that $100,000 black man deserves. This is it.
I'm not gonna allow him to continue because this ain't his platform. But so I featured the questions and the speaking points, talking points, and all that good stuff for you guys as I was going through. And we were watching this together. So I want to welcome the official urban therapist to the platform. Come on, let these people know where they can find you.
I'm do all that at the end. But you set up here and let this dude get like about 15 minutes of playtime. You tripping.
Oh, I gave him like a solid 35 to 40 minutes because I wanted to make sure that I did my due diligence, because here's the thing. Many of Kevin Samuel's followers, and I really feel like this video was sent to me by one of his followers, but I had a question by a viewer that asked me, what's wrong with Kevin Samuel's followers? Why is it that they cannot stop investing in and continuing to support very hard support this man? And so I want to be able to answer the question, and I want to do so in a way that allows people to see the gravity of what they're being exposed to by watching his content on a regular basis, because I don't think that I've ever really had a segment where I dived into the psychological components of watching his videos, maybe a little bit here and there, but I didn't really do a full-on review to give you guys the facts around that component. But I wanted to make sure I did my due diligence with this video and give you guys what it is that you're looking for. Answers as to why it is Kevin Samuel's followers are so cult-like in their behavior. So it's that part.
Dr. J.
Mm-hmm.
Invite Rush up immediately.
Okay, I'm gonna wait because sometimes he's just too much. Mm-mm. Rush is already getting people all upset and everything back out here in these streets. So I want to let you guys know Rush is like the official troll of every channel. No, seriously. I really think that some of the stuff he says he really believes in. But I don't know. It's possible that the same issue that present with Kevin Samuels followers are the same issues that he's struggling from, because maybe he took his red pill from the YouTube community of red pill followers and stuff like that, red pill men. But we're going to get to it, and we're going to talk about this stuff today because, Laura says, I remember I saw a woman who was rejected by Kevin Samuels talk to Tommy Sotomayor on his show. Really? That's a rough one. If Tommy is kind to a woman and Kevin isn't, God damn, this must be a rough day. No, so let me pull up the video just for a second here, okay? I'm just gonna pull up a little snippet so you guys can see. I'm not gonna play it or anything like that, but I'm gonna pull it up just so I can make a reference really quickly. So if you guys go ahead.
Yeah, this particular segment, not actually seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of them segments that Kevin Samuel did that to be honest with you, I absolutely disagree with his whole tone with her from beginning to end. If he would have came at her more of a teachable way, then I could respect that. But his whole tone, his whole demeanor, him keep using the debate and switch technique of debating her, putting her into certain topics which was really irrelevant, and her demeaning her the way that he did. I just can't rock with it. I just don't agree with it at all.
And I agree. Now, here's the thing. People who are very strong supporters of Kevin Samuels, and if any of you on this channel right now are Kevin Samuels followers, go ahead, share this video with him and everybody else that is a part of you guys' manosphere, or whatever you call it, Kevin Samuels sphere, Samsers. Okay. I feel like if I want to give you guys a realistic look at what you're going through. Okay. Now, there were several points that I pointed out for a discussion, and we're going to cover each one of those. But what I want you guys to look at is this pendulum in the back right here. Can you guys see that back there in the back of behind Kevin Samuels? I guess that's his right ear. Yes, no, maybe so. The light's on one side of his head, the window, and the pendulum is in the window.
Yeah, I see it to the window, to the wall. But yeah, I see it though.
And it appears that he is actually in a hotel and not in his home, because I saw the little air AC thing, in the cheap motels they be having on there, whatever. But no shade, but maybe a little shade, but whatever. So he's decided to bring it into other settings because he's seeing that obviously it's working. So people who are into hypnosis, right? This is one of the things that we use as practitioners. And also, if you guys pay attention to the way that he repeats his numbers, and I know that the official urban therapist has asked the question several times, why do Kevin Samuels followers literally go quote for quote, word for word, and repeat what he says as far as the stats? 1 in 4, 1 in 4, 1 in 4, 10%, top 10% of Black males earn this. He starts to put these numbers out there, and what he does is he slights facts. So when you're using the hypnotic bait and switch technique to debate people or to have a conversation, what happens is you have to have a device in the room that can act as a continuous conduit, to conditioning that element into the person's intrapsyche, what happens is your unsubconscious eventually starts to repeat the things that you're hearing, and it makes it seem as if that stuff is outside information that you have deemed to be reliable, storable, and you want to send it to your prefrontal cortex. So the hippocampus from the lower brain is now functioning in a way unsubconsciously to where it's storing that as permanent information that is needed, vital information stored. Okay. You see this when people are going through the process of hypnosis. You see that when we're trying to reconstruct dreams and re-narrate, if you will, people who are struggling with severe trauma. And he has a tendency to bond with people who have traumas very similar to his trauma history. So the reason why Kevin Samuels is so dangerous is because he's a person who is promoting divisive techniques in a very much traumatized society of people. When we talk about the Black community and we are honest with ourselves about the seriousness of the issue that's going on in our community, because we use him for entertainment. He's funny. You can definitely see him. He has his issues, and I don't even know if he realizes how sociopathically narcissistic he is. But whatever it is that he does or doesn't realize, that's not my business. What is my business is the nature of people and the influence that he has on people. So he has a growing audience on YouTube. People are stuck in their houses with no means to go out and have a viable life, right? And people are feeling helpless and hopeless already. Then they're calling Kevin Samuels. Somebody in a chat earlier asked the question, why do women subject themselves to this level of abuse? Very easy. If they have been watching this for more than 2 episodes continuously throughout the entire duration of his show, they cannot help themselves. They're going to be drawn back to it because this is what they consider to be their safe space. That's the reason he's repetitive on the music. That's the reason he's repetitive on the stats and the numbers that he uses. And amongst those stats and numbers that he uses that have even a little bit slighted validity, whatever he mixes into the conversation with that repetitive material becomes now solid fact for you, regardless of what you may see.
Hey, doctor, I don't mean to interrupt you. Is this hypnosis technique similar to the fictitious movie Get Out, when they was using that same type of technique?
Very similar. Yeah. Because somebody talked to me. I didn't watch that entire movie, but I did. My son, one of my sons is a doctor, and he talked about it, and he was just like, oh my God, I remember when you were going to hypnotherapy and going through that process, blah, blah, blah. He was like, man, I'm telling you, they are spot on. Like, they're teaching people how to do this, and they're teaching it over a TV show, over a movie. And I'm just like, I doubt it. But I've heard more people come back and tell me the same thing. And more people that watched Get Out are people who became extremely anxious around white people as a result of watching the movie, are people who became extremely vigilant when it came to advocating for what white people are doing to Black people and the history of white people doing bad things to Black people, regardless of what current trends in society tells them. This is what they now subscribe to. And even practitioners in therapy have seen the same issues in an abundance. And I see it with clinicians, Black clinicians that are struggling with remaining ethical. Okay, just remaining ethical. So I think that we got to look at the larger issue, and we must address this. And I feel like, I've said several times, like, I don't believe in canceling people on YouTube because I feel like, young people, grown people have the capacity to, divest and, from the things that are not positive or not adding value to them. But I'm starting to see they really don't, because they don't understand what's happening over the course of them watching this content. And even if you're not tuned in the whole time visually, what happens is auditorily, he's still conditioning you with that same technique, which is why he uses those particular numbers to draw you in. And let me tell you guys something, okay? I'm just going to be very transparent with you. Okay. I'm a very well-traveled, well-educated woman, and I am multicultural. My heart fluttered when I finally found a video that I had watched, because I've watched a couple of his videos, but I never watched them in its entirety, right? I just clicked through. Give me the important stuff. But when I finally saw a video that was congruent, like, okay, so he really did take this from this one setting to this other setting. He really does understand the benefits of this, and he knows exactly what it's doing to these people. So sometimes people do things and it's unintentional, right? But to find that it's intentional and that you're doing this thing intentional, that piece right there just really grind my gears. So I feel like we've got to have this discussion. We've got to start having this discussion more frequently. And I'm sick and tired of Kevin Samuels followers coming to this platform and saying, okay, well, you're going at this, or you got to talk about him being gay in order for you to invalidate his point. Let me tell you something. I don't do that. His sexuality was important to the conversation. As to whether or not he was deflecting, I don't know. Well, obviously in that one video he was, but I don't know if that's the reason that he was deflecting or not. But his sexuality is important because as a person who is rendering adequate oversight and insight to these young women who are looking for men, if you're also competing for the same set men, you have a conflict of interest if you don't disclose that, right? Additionally, I've talked several times to his talking points, because that's literally what we do. It's an accountability channel, for God's sake. So I think that we got to look at the larger issue. The larger issue is that we have a generation of people who are very young, very influential, especially in this vulnerable state of being emotionally. And we have to do something to protect our young people, because our young people are our future. Even though he's giving you guys this misinformation about the fact that marriage is not a point of contention for folks, I want you guys to understand that people are still getting married. Lots of Black young people are getting married. This is not a rarity, okay? This is not a rarity. And I want you guys to understand that you have to, if you want whatever it is that you want, I want you to have the know-how and empower yourself enough to go after what it is that you want based off of what your value systems are versus somebody on the internet, whether it's Kevin Samuels, whether it's me, whether it's Cynthia G, whether it's anybody, right? I want you guys to understand that I need you to feel empowered enough to step away from the computer when you need to step away from the computer, step away from the phone screen when you need to take a step away from the phone screen. I need you to invest in your emotional wellness. Like, I need you people to start doing that now and start impressing that upon everyone else in your circle. So I think we got to start asking the larger questions, and we're definitely going to get to some of the things that he said in this particular video, but it's pretty clear that he's a textbook narcissist. In this video, it's pretty clear. You're incapable of empathy. This young lady is making it very clear that she struggled through losing her father gradually, and you can't say anything even remotely close to being empathetic. You understand what I'm saying? I'm sorry for your loss. Any of that? Really? Thanks.
Yeah, and not even offering advice to her to deal with that traumatic experience.
Exactly. And I hear all of these people saying, oh, well, Kevin Samuels sent people to therapy. He recommends therapy. He recommends this. He recommends that. No. He is not healthy for these young people. And yeah, they may need some very honest, feedback from someone, but it's not him. There are too many very successful Black men out there, ladies, that you can be taking your guidance from. And I agree. Like one of the people said, like, you guys need to stop calling his show. Wake up from that lost hypnotic state and stop calling his show and get your life together. Figure out what it is that you want. This young lady has a great take on her life. She's 25 years old. Like, you're not a medical doctor. There is no way. Let me tell you something. To hear a man, this isn't even about just a person that's not a doctor, right? But let's go to the other point of contention. To hear a man say out of his mouth, with no medical degree history, no med school history, none of that. To hear you say out of your mouth, this geriatric pregnancy, if you're going to wait until you're 28 to start dating, that puts you having a baby at 35, and 35 is geriatric pregnancy. To hear you say that, that's disgusting. Geriatric pregnancy, just so you guys understand from a person who is a medical doctor, geriatric pregnancy is, we don't even use the term. We barely use the term. You know why? Because with the advancements in science and technology and research, what we've learned is that many people won't reach that plateau. Many people. Many women successfully give birth well into their 40s, and that's the norm, to be honest with you. That's the norm. High risk pregnancy, however, is when you are over 40 and other health conditions are a contributing factor to your pregnancy being high risk. Your age is not a single indicator and can never be a single indicator, because all people at different ages have a different health history. Your health history is what tells us whether or not your pregnancy will be risky or not for you individually. Geriatric pregnancy is not somebody who is 35 years old having a damn child. And for this young lady to be 25 and finally figured out in her mind, well, you know what? We are extremely toxic for one another. We're not good for one another. I need to move out of this relationship and evolve into a better state of being and work on myself. And then she's agreeing with him, and he's still dogging her out. He was disrespectful from the very onset of this call. And then you try to tell this woman about her career choices and her degree. And you didn't even finish school for an undergraduate. You know what I'm saying? I just can't. I just can't. So let me send this link to Rush. I'm going to drop the link. If you guys are open to coming on the panel, you want to discuss the things that we've watched so far, you are more than welcome to click the link. But please understand that I do require you to cam up, even if you turn your cam on after you're already on the show, because I need to know that you are a real person and not a bot, not a troll, because I don't have time for that tonight. You know, you guys are more than welcome to be as mean as you want to and comment what you want, right? Be as abrasive as you want to in the comments, right? But just don't be disrespectful, because
the only exception to that is that if we already know you, then you necessarily don't have to come up, because we already know who you are. But exactly. If we don't know you, we need to see your face.
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna let Rush come up here and
Rush. What up, bro?
Yo, what's up, guys? What's up, urban therapist? What's up, Doc?
What's going on?
I think you've been, kind of dramatic with the Kevin Samuel.
Okay, so give me the extent to which you feel like that.
Saying that he has no empathy towards this lady. That's not true. He's trying to help her out. He's trying to give her some good advice.
What advice did you hear him give her?
Well, he's letting her know that she didn't finish school and she only makes about roughly $40,000 a year, and she expects to get married at the age of 32, but she's not even working her way up to bagging a high value male, because she wants a male to make at least $100,000 a year. That's what she said, right?
And thanks, right? Thanks, typical Jai. So you said what? You feel like his advice was that That part that he told her that she can't bag a guy that makes 100 grams. You realize she said she was dating guys that made 100 grand, right?
I mean, she could say that, but I don't believe her.
Mm-hmm. So why even ask her the question at all?
What do you mean? Well, I mean, whatever he's trying to assess with her, I mean, he already knows that, she's gonna be a cat lady, but he's just trying to help her out.
Interesting. Does anybody else agree with him? Anybody else agree with Rush?
Come on, urban therapist, say something.
I don't agree with it. And I don't agree with the point that he was trying to help her out in this segment. I honestly believe that this whole entire segment was just a straight entertainment point, just to get his own views up. So he purposely attacked this young lady.
Right.
Okay, wait a minute. He put out facts. I mean, he said in her mind she thinks there's a large percentage of the people making 100 grand a year, which is not true. That's only 10%. I mean,
Who told you that?
well, the stats. Anybody that makes 100 grand, anybody that makes 100 grand a year, anybody that makes 100 grand a year is probably considered the top 20, because the average American only makes the average American only makes 50 grand a year.
So 33% of the American population, I'm going to give you the reality. 33% of the American population makes over 100 grand. 130 is actually the average for them.
Let me ask you this question, Rushan. Do you believe that a person who's making between 40 or 50,000 a year, do you believe that's sustainable income?
No, you can't even live alone with that kind of money. Well, it depends on what state you live in.
It really don't matter what state you live in. Technically, it's all about that person doing what they got to do to sustain their living situation. In most cases, if a person's not living beyond their means, they can very well sustain an income even with a family.
Hold on, you guys. Shout out to Lakita Mender. Shout out to Lakita Mender. That's what I'm talking about.
Shout out to Lakita.
So Kevin Samuels is a culprit of his own his own accusation against women, the need to be right, and he baited her into the conversation. Every time she would give him any answers, he would try to switch it
25 years old.
and use it against her.
She's an adult. She knows what she's on.
She's 25 years old.
That's a young adult, yeah.
She's a kid. Emotionally, she hasn't come into her congruence yet. 25 years old in the 90s, maybe I would say, yeah, she's an adult. Now, no.
So Russ, let me ask you this too. Let's say hypothetically speaking, this young lady, she's making about $50,000 a year, and she meet a man who's making roughly around by $50,000 to $60,000 a year, and they end up getting married. You don't think that's sustainable income for their family and their household? They're bringing in a combined close to about $100,000 a year between both of them.
If she links up with a guy that makes that kind of money and she still keeps her 9 to 5, yeah, it's workable. You know what I mean? But 50 racks a year, it's not gonna give you a comfortable lifestyle to live by yourself. You're gonna need a roommate.
You don't think so?
Nah, you're gonna need a roommate.
Well, yeah. Let's talk a little bit about this, okay? So I think that the vast majority of young people in America, you guys have a misconstruction simply because in your mind, you have to live at a certain means. For this young lady, she made it very clear that this is her house. So she owns a house she doesn't have the overhead of a high rental property. Okay. And she's 25 years old. She has no college debt. Her debt to income ratio and her credit score is through the roof.
She's in debt. She's lying. But go ahead.
There's plenty of people that go to school on scholarships.
All right. I'll give her that. All right.
The fact that she went to school, she definitely appears to be extremely intelligent, well versed on her career choice that
Just
she
because she
chose
went to
and what her
school
initial
doesn't mean
plan
she's
was.
intelligent. I don't agree with that, but go ahead.
She was able to articulate what her initial plan was, how it derailed, and not only that, find a sufficient backup plan and move into a different career until she could do exactly what it is that she saw that she aspired to do after she saw there were roadblocks. What she didn't do is tell any lies, because that is a field that is overpopulated by the vast majority of white and Asian people.
Yeah, but ain't no white dude gonna
To
wipe
say
her
that
out.
a wait, to say that a person that goes to school with for a that majors in biology has a useless degree, you're out of your fucking mind.
It is useless, dog. Unless you're going
You're
to
out of
med
your
school.
mind. No,
Unless
you
you're
don't
going
have
to
to go
med
to med
school.
school. You don't have to go to med school. If a person has a biology degree and she went to school already to be a physical
What,
trainer,
what
there are
what kind of
several
job
things
can
that she
she
can
get
do
with
with her.
a biology degree? What kind of job can she get with that?
She can work at Kaiser Permanente or any other medical facility as
Doing
a
what?
physical
Doing
trainer
what?
or a person who
A
is
trainer don't make
responsible
money. A
for
personal trainer don't make
rehabilitation.
money. That's not a real career.
What do you mean it's not a real career? I have a client who literally built her career in the last 3 years, and she's making over $500,000 a year
She probably got like
with no
she
degree.
probably deal with like
No degree.
high end clients. But what
Mm-mm.
are the odds of somebody able to do something like that?
Mm-mm. Actually, it's a very so. Let me tell you something. What Kevin Samuels does, he does give you guys some pretty reliable stats when it comes to the weight index, BMI issues in the Black community. He gives you guys lots of great, reliable standards when it comes to those particular things. But what he doesn't do is a good job at honing in and how education applies to what your viability in the workplace looks like, because that's not his field. And none of this is his field either. So everything else is going to be bullshit. Okay. That's the reality of it. Now, as with this young lady's degree, she could work in a lab. It's a lot of things that she can
But
do.
she's
And
not
with
working at
upward
a lab.
mobility, starting at
She,
$100,000,
she,
she just has to
she,
get in her mind that's not what she wants to do. She didn't
she's
do
not working in a
a
lab
major
though.
and a minor. She did a double
She's
major.
not willing to put in the work because
She doesn't have
she's
to
not
put in
built
any
like
work.
that.
She doesn't have to put in
She's
any
not.
work. She would
She's
only
not
have to
built
put
like
in
that.
work to
She's not
do
cut for
her.
that clothes. I mean,
She don't have
what
to
she's
put in
trying to
work
what she's
to
trying to
pursue
do
her
what
initial
she's
passion.
what she's trying to do is land a rich dude to cover up for her mistakes. You know what I mean? But she can't even do that.
No, she's trying to land, and $100,000 isn't rich, by the way. It isn't. But in her argument, she derailed and went to start doing something else simply because she didn't see the outcome that she had projected being realistic after she had, kind of surveyed the market and probably gotten out on her own. And for her, maybe that caused some anxiety, as it does most people, and
If
she
she
realigned
if
herself.
she was a man, they would consider that man being a failure. Nobody
A
gives no
failure of
dude
what?
no slacks or no excuses for that shit. You know what I mean?
A failure of
If she
what?
was a man, she would be considered a failure in
A failure
life
of what?
of not accomplishing anything.
How?
She has a useless degree and she doesn't have a tangible career.
What makes her degree useless?
She's not because she's not using it. You know what I mean?
So just because she hasn't decided to utilize her degree and credentials does not make her degree in and of itself useless.
The
That's not a
degree,
valid argument.
okay, having a biology degree is
Mhm.
useless if you're not going to med school or going to a 4 year to leave your undergrad school to go to a 4 year degree to get something that's, you know what I mean, official to allow you to land a tangible career.
And you know this because
I know this because I'm in school myself. I'm in the occupational therapy program.
Okay, so let me make this clear. A person with a biology degree in the undergrad level can definitely do a lot of things with it. Just because she doesn't
Like
quite
what?
see
What
that
kind of
yet,
job
because she
can you
hasn't
get
gone
with
to a
that?
career
What
counselor.
kind of job can you get
Let me
with a
help you. Let me help
biology degree?
Let me help you. Let me help you. So I'm 20 years in medical finance. My ex-fiance didn't even finish her biology degree. She just had the AA, and she was able to get a lab technician job, 60 grand. Later,
Mhm.
she got a medical records job, 70 grand. I think what happens, and I'm trying to be fair to the brothers. I understand we want this narrative of women ain't nothing, but when we have this women ain't nothing argument, or we want to get some our job, and I'm not talking about nobody on the panel, so nobody get triggered. But the topic of this type of stuff, I disagree with the doctor on a lot of stuff. Okay, but when it comes to these things about evidence, we got to stop using phrases. We got to actually drop some detail, because we look uninformed when we make statements. I do disagree on the earlier thing, and I'm gonna pass the mic after this. 50,000 goes a lot in 2021, depending on where you live. Let's compare Atlanta to the mountains of northern Georgia. Mountains of northern Georgia, you 50 G's makes you live like you $100,000 cat. Now you wouldn't know that. It's the same thing as the northern part of Indiana. There are certain communities that they have the hospital, the grocery store, and the movie theater all within a few walking blocks, and those people just live a great lifestyle because they don't have to go several places to work and what have you. So respectfully to you guys, $100,000 doesn't mean nothing compared to the state you live, and it does mean something 50,000 compared to the state you live. Everything depends on where you live and what your expenses are. Respectfully, I just suggest to the panel.
Okay, so as I said
Yeah, yeah,
earlier, the $100,000 mark does not mean anything. So the amount of money that a person makes has absolutely no validity when we're talking about a person surviving in life. If you're living without, I mean, well above your means, or if you have what matters essentially is your income to debt ratio. That's what matters.
absolutely.
That's what matters. So I'm sick and tired of Black people making that narrative. Oh, well, you got to have this amount of money or that amount of money. No, what matters is the amount of debt that you have and the type of lifestyle that you aspire to live. So when we say retire comfortably, that is so subjective. And I think that people have got to get into the understanding that there is so much more to retirement than what's on the surface. And there are lots of ways that people can retire and retire well with just their Social Security without having to have an actual IRA or 401k. Just pay more into your Social Security because it's yours. That's your money and you can elect to do so. And it also frees up your flexibility when it comes time for you to file your taxes. But that's a whole nother one. The thing is, it's too many people who do not truly understand what it means to be wealthy and wise versus what it means to have an upward financial um, cap or whatever that's within a certain time period. Because you could see financial growth from making YouTube videos. You know, you could have lots of YouTube checks coming in. But if you're not using that money appropriately, if you're just going out here trying to look rich, like I said, you guys need to go and listen to Marcus, because even though he's calling himself Uncle Marcus now as he's getting a little older, he's giving you guys ducats of wisdom and insight. The problem with the Black community is that you want to put everything and every idea in a box. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. Statistics may tell you one thing and you go out there and you feel like you're the anomaly simply because you were able to accomplish it. The reality is statistics are outdated by at least 1 year by the time they're released to you. So the propensity of you surviving and doing well in a particular area of life may have been something that was very much viable, but because people like you were relying on the statistics, they never pursued it. That's the reality of it all.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna ask this question because I do feel like Kevin Samuels he didn't have an invalid question. I think in posing this question, he has a valid question to ask people, because when you are exposed to a certain group of people, it could definitely make you hopeless. Like, I've seen what the comments look like on Kevin Samuels' posts. I've seen the negativity in the Black community. I'm not going to act like it's not there, right? So let's answer this question. Do you feel like men and women in their mindsets have gone too far? As too far left or right with their expectations when it comes to dating, with the way they feel about one another, and the huge divestment and the division that all of this conversation and all of this relationship advice that this ill-equipped relationship expert is giving, in provoking division. Like, what are you guys feeling when he is rendering his insights to these young women that are calling in and he's abusing them? How do you feel, the official urban
telling
therapist?
the truth is not abuse. He's just telling them the truth. Relax. It's not abuse.
Okay, so Lakita says the short answer is yes. Okay. Anybody else? So Rushy said he's not abusive.
Well, at the end of the day, his approach with these women that come onto the show is very tactful, and it could be very abusive. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and tell a lie and say that sometimes he do things that are very truthful and they be tactful and is very helpful to them as well, because that's also true too. But just to answer the question about how we are for us, relationship in the culture, I believe that the modern day men and women, we are operating with unrealistic expectations, and this is what's creating such a division in the not only Black community, but that's on relationships. Period.
Okay, so Lakita, I want you to expand a little bit on your answer and tell me, what do you think is a viable solution?
There is no solution. We're too far gone for it to ever be back to what it used to be.
So in life, we don't need things to be back to where they are. I mean, it used to be at one point. Life is about growth and maturation. So if we're evolving and we're in a steady state of evolution, and so is society, I think that we have to be mature
You,
enough to
you call it
understand that life is
evolving.
going to move forward.
You call it evolving. I call it, people are going against the divine nature of things, the divine order of things.
That's what people said when women started wearing pants instead of dresses all the time. So what's new? Says, why do I keep
The
going
thing
after
is,
Samuels?
women, they're just they're not with getting down with the programs. They just want to do their own thing. So it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Well,
And
we
dudes
also
is
got
waking up. And dudes is waking up. And they got people like me and other cats that's informing young dudes to remain sucker free, man. You know what I mean?
It ain't nothing wrong with remaining sucker free or informing young dudes, but we also have this problem in the male community. We don't control our counties with all that information we giving young dudes. We don't control these Ronald Reagan laws that most of these dudes are mad at. It's just like what we're saying is these chicks, and part of that is true. I ain't gonna cap. Part of that is true, but the second part is the laziness of us and other males of other cultures not getting together, bringing back unions, bringing back the laws we say we want. We say we don't like what's happening, but we're stuck at the complaining phase, at the
Well,
angry
but
phase.
here's the thing, Mr. Research. Okay, you got men like me and you, and then you got the other males that adopt the feminist ideology. So a lot of these dudes, they're kind of productive on the things that we want to accomplish. You know what I mean?
I will agree on that. That is true. We got a lot of male hyenas who want to kill their own sons. I do understand that. But we do need to get beyond, and I say this to white men also, because they be, now that they in black spaces or MGTOW spaces talking the same thing, I always point out to them, it's your white counterparts that pass these laws, the Mitch McConnells of the world, the Robert Kings of the world. You got to stop those idiots. We just had a guy pass a law, or it hasn't become a law yet, but he's trying to do in Minnesota a law where if your girl, not even your girl, if a female you potentially are gonna get with for the night is drinking, buying her own drinks, and
This is not consensual. Because
I'll let you finish.
What were you saying, Rush?
Nah, like they're trying to pass this law up here too. If a dude takes a female out and she's drinking, it's considered her not being consensual if they have sex. So if I take a girl out and she has like one beer and I have like 9 beers, it doesn't even matter how inebriated I am. If I have sex with her and she had 1 beer in the system and she proclaims that I raped her, it's going to be considered as rape in the courtroom.
It is rape.
That is not rape, but whatever. But see, this is what I'm talking. This is why there's a MGTOW movement, because that's ridiculous. If we're both drinking together and we're going out,
it's
and
rape.
We have sex together. Hold on. And it's consensual at the moment when we're having sex, and then you wake up with this guilt, and then you want to say that you've been raped. That's fucked up.
You can't legally consent when you're
inebriated right now, huh?
You can't legally consent if you're inebriated.
Whatever, man. I'm just saying, man, that's the law they're trying to pass up here too. But he's saying they trying to get it done in Minnesota.
So what it is you're right about that, but I think what you're not considering, MGTOW does not care about laws. MGTOW even says that. Only the men's rights guys, the MRAs, care about laws. So just out of curiosity, I don't want to switch the subject. What is MGTOW going to do to stop that law? Because you said that's why MGTOW is rising.
Well, I didn't. Well, if I said something to insinuate that, that's not what I meant. I meant for me bringing up MGTOW, their solution is not to deal with women at all, so that they don't have to deal with crazy repercussions like this. You know what I mean?
I think that's a great idea. So if you're a man who has the potential to be a rapist, you need to stay to yourself.
Nah, that's not. I get it. You're one of those, but
that's the only time that I support MGTOW.
I don't think that's totally that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. But these are the things that dudes got to watch out for, from child support, divorce with alimony and all that. Like, there's nothing for a man to get engaged in a relationship with a female in this day and time. He has nothing to gain from that. But
and these are all laws that white men created.
I don't agree with that.
The white male that carries the feminist ideology. Yep.
I don't agree with that.
Why do you not agree?
Because I frequent Capitol Hill.
Okay, I frequent Congress.gov looking at the bills that are drafted. So
yeah, but I'm there in person, so that kind of trumps that. So I see the faces of the people that are complaining.
Okay, so who are drafting these bills against men?
People who are moving to have these laws put in place are all colors. A lot of them are Black people. Many of them are Black people, because these are crimes that are happening in our community.
Crimes? What do you mean crimes?
Rape.
Yeah, we wasn't talking about rape.
So these bills that you're talking about are meant to prevent rape.
Oh, just
non-consensual sex is rape.
Okay.
So what about that? Don't you understand?
Okay, just rape only. So these bills are just for rape only.
That's the only bill that you were talking about.
No, I wasn't talking about that only bill.
That's specifically what you were talking about. Anybody else heard something different?
Yeah, we were talking about that example.
Okay,
But
so that's the same example that I'm commenting on because that's the same example that you were talking about.
Okay. So I did say these bills, but I guess you only heard the one part. No problem. That is fair. You did hear the one example, and you honed in on the one example.
I heard the one example and these bills being in different states. So I don't know if anybody else heard something different, but that's what I heard.
Yeah, because he was talking about child support. He was talking about more than just the rape law. But I understand why you thought we were just talking about one thing. But on the one thing, I would agree that it's multiple people, genders, and stopping the whole rape thing. And to the gentleman's point, the best thing is to just go to brothels. You need to do like the European guys, go to brothels, have your escorts, and just stay away from women and just leave them unto themselves.
I agree, man.
And that's fine.
And they should make prostitution legal in the United States, man. So that way
Oh,
there won't be a
coming.
lot of incels out here. You know what I mean?
It's coming soon because we got the a draft for women coming on the books. So once women start getting drafted in time of war, they will be truly like the Arab women, like the German women. They will know what it is to be out on the front line, and they'll have their opinions like males have to have their opinions out there on the battlefield. And they'll be an all women infantry.
So I'm just curious as to what war you fought in. Because that doesn't sound like anything that I've been in. I'm retired military.
I never said I was in a war.
Purple Heart recipient, highly decorated. Several.
Yeah, never said that.
So help me understand, and I'm a woman. I have a vagina. So help me understand why it is that you feel in some way that females do not go to the front lines, as you put it.
No, I didn't say that either.
Okay.
No,
so women are drafted into the military. Women, let me make this point to make this clear for those listening in the back. Women are drafted into the military and they're on the draft list already. After they've served a tour of duty, there is something called the IRR, Individual Ready Reserve. That is a draft list for all members, male, female, indifferent, to be recalled in the state of war or any other emergency, like this one right here. I'm drafted right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That's not in question. None of that is in question.
Okay, so obviously what you don't know is regardless of what is put into writing for females, for the vast majority pick from civilians to be drafted into combat situations, females are already in a draft.
Okay, so all 17-year-olds, well, all 18-year-olds have to apply to selective service. That's what you're saying right now, right, doctor?
Every person who has ever served in the military, millions and billions of people, female or male, already has a selective service commitment after they are off orders. Most people finish their orders within their 3-year contract, if they have a 3-year, some 8.
And I just say, doctor, you're introducing something once again we're not talking about. We're talking about people who have never been to.
So it's the exact same, it's the same process. It's the same idea. So going into the military without wanting to go into the military by force is still a draft.
Okay. So
that is
women,
what you're talking about.
So women right now at 17 and 18-year-old can be forced into the military under what you're talking about, this IB thing, right?
A draft does not force you into the military. A draft calls you to duty for your country.
I'm kind of confused. So
with necessary training given.
So are males forced into has males throughout history been forced into the draft? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, we're talking two different Americas, but I got you, doctor. It's good. We have history showing males reluctantly going into war.
I know 90-year-olds who served in those wars and they were drafted, and it's not a force. It's called you serve your country and now you get adequate provisions and training so that you can represent properly. It's better than having them coming over here and bringing war to this land.
Okay. We just got document of people going to jail for that, doctor.
What do you mean?
It was called draft dodging. They had a name for it, doctor.
Yeah, well, guess what? Anybody can be AWOL, whether they're drafted or they go in voluntarily. People do that all the time.
You just contradicted yourself,
And they
doctor.
go to jail. But when you sign up to serve your country, whether you are drafted into the military or not, it's still an honor and a duty that you have as an American citizen, regardless. And that's not contradicting my point. My point is a draft is not forcing you into anything. War coming onto this soil right here is something that you don't want to see. You know why? Because you are not prior service. You've not served, so you don't know what it looks like. How many people have you killed?
Quite a few.
How many bullets have you dodged actively under hostile fire?
Quite a few.
What war did you fight in?
Wasn't a war.
Okay. So like I said, until you have fought a war, until you have gone onto unfriendly territory that is not in your country, and you have fought that war, you can't have a conversation with me.
We doctor, you came and changed the subject. We were talking about something
That's
totally
not
different.
changing the subject.
Yes, doctor. I'm on your platform. I respect your platform. You had the last word, doctor.
Moving on. Anybody else with any more comments?
Yeah.
And by the way, I love the show. Even though I push back on some things doctor believes, I believe this is great to hear a woman that can go toe for toe on the intellectual plane without the emotionalism. Well, that's one thing I will give doctor credit for. It's not a emotional bullying session with her. She gives you the same energy. So applause to that.
Oh no, man! Don't cap on her like that. Don't give her that credit. Nah, bro, come on now.
I'm emotional all the time with Kevin Samuels' rhetoric. However, I'm pragmatic on the views. So, how many of you think that Kevin Samuels is right outside of Lakita and Rush?
Talking about right about this particular segment.
Yeah, that we're too far left, too far right to come into the folds and make any type of resolution when it comes to investing in the Black community and Black relationships.
Well, when I heard people say that, it made me, to be honest with you, it made me question their religious worldviews because your religious worldview teach you about hope, regardless of if the situation seemed even bleak. So I believe that the situation it can turn around to a point, but at the end of the day, it takes individual effort. See, we sometimes we try to look at it collectively as a community, but it's difficult to get a whole community to come together. But it's less difficult to change your personal behavior within your individual self and within your family as well.
I just have a logical perspective. You know what I mean? Yes, there's possibility to get married and possibly not get screwed over, but the probability of that happening is like 70%. So why put yourself in a subservient position? It's not fair to yourself.
I'm put to you this way, Rush, and I'm gonna give you from your Christian belief perspective. Jesus taught this message to you, right? He said, all you gotta do is have faith the size of a mustard seed, right? That's all it takes. If you have faith that is going to work, then more likely it's going to work, right? But you have to change your personal mentality, your personal mindset to get to that point, and that's how it is even with our relationship. And that's why we
I'm a therapist, man. What did King Solomon say about bagging the wrong chick?
I didn't hear you. What you say?
What did King Solomon says about bagging the wrong chick?
That's in the Bible. I never saw anything in the Bible that said bagging the wrong chick.
I'm paraphrasing. It's not verbatim. I'm paraphrasing.
He's talking about in the book of Proverbs. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know.
Come on now.
But not in that language.
What was the words that King Solomon said about engaging yourself with the wrong female?
He
How
was
do you know
teaching.
that these women are wicked, though. You're not.
Yep.
You can't say just because she's not the right woman for you doesn't mean that she's wicked.
Listen.
Yeah, true. And that's the whole point I'm making, though. It all comes to your mentality.
That's not the point. But okay,
But it is.
I get it. I get it.
So that's why most of the Kevin Samuel Reddick, even with Cynthia G and Tanya TKO and all the rest of them, who are preaching this type of Reddit, at the end of the day, it comes down to a choice whether if you want to choose to follow this or not, or choose your whole behavior altogether and just find something different. Now, personally, with me, it took.
Urban Therapist, here's the thing, right? This what gets me bugged out. Like dudes like you know the repercussions of divorce. Why would you promote marriage to dudes with the stats that we have out now and the possibility of the suffering that they're going to go through?
Because it's simple. Because first of all, well, whenever I mention about my previous marriage, I don't mention it in a negative way or trigger a way to promote promote that you shouldn't get married no more. Well, what I do, let me finish, Rush. Let me finish my point. All right, so the reason why I put that out there is to show y'all that I place personal accountability on myself. That prior relationship, it was a lot of things that I did that wasn't right. There's a lot of things that my previous ex-wife did that wasn't right. At the end of the day, we wasn't right. We wasn't compatible due to the decisions that we made, and that's what caused us to depart. It's that simple. But however, by me learning about the accountability part of that, that's what allowed me to be a better man that I'm at right now, where I could tell people and educate them that it's still hope out there to be married. But the whole point about it is that you just can't be marrying just because that person gives good sex. You can't be getting married because this person does have a high earning income, anything like that. It's more than that.
That's not what I'm promoting. My thing is that I want dudes to be. I'm tired of seeing dudes taking L's left and right, man. A lot of dudes is losing. You know what I mean? They losing off this gender war, man. And you know what I mean, with the red pill community, and dudes like Mr. Research, and I got friends that got podcasts. They form other dudes too about female nature and the risk of getting into a marriage. It's not beneficial to them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And even with that, Russia, you also got to understand too. Well, whenever you do take a L, it's okay because that's life. But the issue is you have to take accountability for your L. You got to figure out what caused you to lose in the first place. What is it? And you take accountability about that. And then from there, that's what's going to help you to evolve into a better person or a better version of yourself. And that's for men and women.
Well, here's the thing. I got a lot of old friends, you know what I mean, in their 50s. And I got a lot of young friends, and they all have the same troubles dealing with women. It's the same shit. You know what I mean?
Are they still speaking about the same negative behavior, how they feel about women? Because more than likely, that's what be happening. They're giving each other bad negative advice, and so that vice is transferring into their relationships. It's similar to when Dr. J was talking about earlier about hypnosis.
Perfect example, right? You got and this is an example to show that the nice guy will always get shitted on. What's that basketball player name? What's that dude's name?
Oh, talking about that dude who he got with that woman and she ended up trapping him.
Not PJ Washington, not the sucker. I'm talking about Steph Curry's father. You know what I mean? Seems like a good dude,
Mhm.
genuine dude, whatever. You see how his wife disrespected him, and now out the blue, she just divorced him. What was the purpose of even dealing with somebody like that in the first place? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that still goes to what I was talking about earlier about you taking accountability and knowing who you deal with. Then another thing too, people got to realize that even when you're in a relationship, things do happen where y'all end up slowly just grow apart from each other. But that's fine. That's
That's
natural human behavior for that to happen.
you guys
But
didn't.
when you put
You
it
guys
on
didn't.
social
Those
media,
vows
people
don't mean nothing to them.
look at the outside
Those vows
instead of
don't mean
looking
nothing
from the
to them.
inside of what's really going on.
Those vows don't mean nothing to them, man. The vow says from death to his part, man. If a dude right now, right, marries a chick, right, they become as one flesh. He do, and she wants to get separated from him, because throughout the modern day law, they allow women to get divorces. So they get the divorce, and she marries another man. And she has sex with that man. That's still considered adultery because she
Mhm.
stayed
And
subject to the first man.
Stephen Curry, that might not be his father. We covered it on my channel. I think that when you look at Mr. Steve Johnston, who was a broke white guy back in the day, and they all went to Virginia, whatever that was. Um, Steph is 33. Allegedly, her and this guy's had a 33-year relationship while she's been married to Dale, and that's who she's now living with. And when you look at him and Steph, it looks just like him. That doesn't mean anything. Of course, there would have to be some DNA, but then you compare with Dale's second son, who looks identically like him. There's something going on, and people are starting to speculate that she's been hiding this pregnancy and just got with Dale for the money.
And that's a common thing that goes on too in marriages, man. Fraud paternity. You know what I mean? Paternity fraud.
But
Is
we
that
are men.
what goes on in the average marriage, or does go on with the people who are one high earners?
Well, we are men. It don't matter. We're not human. Only women are human, so it don't matter. We're just lowly men.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So tell me this. If you guys have so much that you feel that marriage, I mean, so much that you guys feel like goes against the constructs of marriage being a point of contention for men. Like, why are there so many people still getting married? Because Kevin Samuels makes it very clear more men are married than
The
women.
reason why marriage is still prevalent is
Mhm.
because they're fed blue pill knowledge. Your typical Disney stories and people like you and urban therapists. No offense, but you guys promote that marriage is a good thing for the modern day man in this day and time, and it's not true.
Marriage is a great thing for people, and marriage
Yeah,
is a good
that's
thing
yeah,
financially.
that's blue pill knowledge.
So I have a different take. I think blue pill knowledge creates businesses faster. I think blue pill knowledge creates home owning faster. The percentage of guys getting divorced is only what 20%, 40%. So I do think that the blue pill knowledge does pan out sometimes better than the red pill. Red pill is very new. It's only a 1998 creation, so it's not like we have a long track record to know how things going to turn out. We I will say this about red pill knowledge. There's been a lot of guys who've gotten old, still got a feather in their hat, and there's been a lot of guys who've been taken to the cleaners by a divorce. I think it goes to what the other gentleman said. It's really about vetting. And you really got to vet. Don't get married though. So we don't want to say to guys you got to get married. It's just that there are some people who successfully bond and their children become the managers of your children. That's all it is.
Yeah, and absolutely, I agree with that too. We're not promoting that everyone on the face of the planet should get married because obviously there are people out there who are not built for marriage. Period. And I believe this also that these particular people who are not built for marriage, I believe that um, they begin to try to subscribe to the social norm, and so they just find someone to get married just so that can be part of the social norm or part of the culture. And therefore, that's also what corrects all this controversy and all these divorce rates and, different things like that. Single mothers, single fathers, baby mamas, baby daddies.
So single mothers don't include, when you guys say that, does that not include divorced moms? Like they're still single mothers, right?
Well, in this situation, I'm including all single mothers, including one on divorcees.
And
Normally we don't include divorced mothers because divorced mothers the reason why divorced mothers are not normally included is because they have had some type of union. And when people talk about single mothers, they're mostly talking from the standpoint of those people who've never entered into a union and they don't have the mindset of a union. But to each their own.
interesting. So if you guys feel like, men should not get married, because I heard you could say that very clearly. We're not saying that you should get married. We're saying vet, right? So vetting is a part of the process of courtship. Courtship leads to marriage. So what are they vetting them for exactly? If not to make them single mothers.
You're vetting whether she correlates with you, whether she can conform to you, whether you can conform to her. Because as we all know, these unions are really about conforming. And you're trying to become one. Go ahead, brother.
And to figure out if she's a smut or not. You know what I mean? Because if she's a smut, that leads to like the same situation with Steph Curry's father, paternity fraud.
Interesting. Okay, so you're not having the intention to get married. So again, I asked the question, what are you vetting them for?
So in my case, I do have the intention to get married. So I vet to see whether someone can fit with my current lifestyle. I go to salsa dancing. I do a lot of artistic things. I'm a very patient person, extremely patient to a fault. I'm a non-reply type of individual, but at the same time, I am assertive. So I do stand on my square. So those are the things that I put in vetting. I really don't get into the smut thing and all that other stuff because we all used to be something. So we can't call that. And then there's certain dudes who are gigolos slash sluts. So everybody used to be something. But if you're really trying to get into a union, I always tell dudes, make sure you have a plan for why this human being is coming into your life, because you just can't be winging it. You got to be a dude that has an understanding of why she coming.
So for the young man that you say you're not telling them to get married, but you're telling them to properly vet. That's the part I'm really trying to understand. So you don't want them to get married in the end, but you do want them to go through the vetting stages. I'm trying to figure out what's the purpose of that process for them.
No, I mean, I'm not. Listen, if a dude wants to get married and throw his life away, that's his prerogative. But if you're gonna do that, better make sure she's not a slut. You know what I mean? Because if she's smutted out, that means she's incapable to pair bond with you, and most likely she's gonna step out and have another kid with an alpha. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Okay, so I'll say this. Oftentimes marriages fail because people have the mindsets very similarly like you guys. You think that you're supposed to come into a relationship and blend and meld, become one. Relationships are an entity of themselves, right? So the unity is you joining the relationship, her joining the relationship, you both putting in work for the relationship. When relationships fail, it's oftentimes because people find themselves completely lost and taken aback. They lose a sense of self trying to become congruent, trying to male, trying to conform to what they think someone else need them to be, not themselves, not continuing to, mature and cultivate their individuation, because that's the most important thing, the single most important thing to the success of your relationship. Self-care is important before you can put yourself towards anything as far as your energy. So having that misstep, that misconception leads to the failure of all relationships. Now, if that's how Black people are feeling, then I think, yeah, we're probably gone too far left or too far right, because what's going to happen is the same cycle of incongruence in relationships, because you think that you're looking for your better half, better part of yourself in another person, because you're thinking that you're supposed to get some level of fulfillment from another being other than yourself. You're supposed to be whole when you go into anything. So if
But
you're a part,
that's what women do. They
it
divorce
sounds
at
like
50.
that's what you're
They
subscribing.
divorce at 50, thinking that they could bag another dude when they done hit the wall. Shit is crazy to me. Quite
Okay.
comical.
So, but
Well,
there are no women saying the things that both of you are saying. This is the both of you. So unless you have vaginas, and I didn't know about that.
Whoa. Who's the both of
about what you guys are saying?
who's the both of you? Which part? Which part are you disagreeing that I said?
The part that you said, I don't encourage them to get married, but I do encourage them to vet properly.
No, homeboy said that.
And you said that too.
No, I said if they are to be married, they should vet.
Okay. Okay. So maybe I misheard you.
Yeah, well, that's normally. I think I'm starting to think it's just me. You always do that too, but it's okay. But no, I don't believe there's a vetting when you just trying to do some single pipe slinging. If you're trying to just do that, then there's no vetting to that. You're doing what you're doing. I just think, to your point, if I was to go to your point, a lot of dudes and women, they want sexuality on their terms, and they use some type of phrases to have their cake and eat it too. So that's why I'm not in that lane. I don't think you're supposed to have your cake and eat it too when you're not serious about doing nothing long term, or all you want to do is just have sex long term and figure it out later. That's a recipe for disaster on the woman's side and the man's side, because women do the same thing. Women will sit up here, pick dudes based on their ability to sling pipe, and then when they waste 2 or 3 years, then they'll try to blame the dude. These dudes, they trash, when in actuality you are not sincere about nothing long term. You're picking a sexual partner hoping that they turn into a family member. That's where I disagree with the other gentleman.
Interesting. So do you think that relationships should be based on sex between the two partners involved in the relationships, intimate partner wise?
When you're good at sex or you respect sex, one of the two, sex should be like the third or fourth thing that you really care about. You already know what you are able to do sexually. You already know how you are able to enjoy it. Okay, you don't need validation. I think. Look, let's take the gloves off.
Mm-hmm.
Majority people in the hood use sex as validation because they are powerless. They are powerless in a boardroom. They are powerless protecting their land. They're powerless in front of a judge. They're powerless, male and female. But sex, they can feel for the first time I'm all woman. They can feel for the first time I am a Superman. So
Mm-hmm.
people go after this sex first. I forgot what they said that is in psychology, but there's a term for it. But people look for sex to do that stuff. When you are trying to look at a strategic alliance, let's call it that, because I don't believe the blue pill people understand that when you do this stuff correctly, you get a strategic alliance, but you do have to kiss a lot of frogs. When you get a strategic alliance, the minute you guys tie the knot, it does not have to be a big wedding. Save that money. Invite your friends to a to a nice event space and just have the food. There's a lot of things you can do, but you have to have a person that's on that tip. If you have a person that wants to show out, you need to be a person that's okay with the person you want to show out. And in conclusion, the minute you get with this person, now the work begins. Now her 70K is with your 70K. Her 90K is with your 80K, or vice versa. Now we got to do XYZ. I told my mother and father, I said the way the price houses was based with the money y'all was making, y'all could have bought a house every 2 years, but you didn't, because my dad, he just jacked off his money. He wanted to buy friends. He wanted to be the life of the party. So I say all that to say that when you do it strategically correct, you don't have these problems as a blue pill person. But if you're just trying to wing it and hope that it works out, then yeah, doctor, I would agree with you. Those are not the right moves, but to each their own.
Okay. So how much stability does sex offer you in a relationship longitudinally?
Well, I'll let the other brother go first and then I'll come after.
Yo, why I gotta be the guinea pig, man? Go ahead, Mr. Research.
Okay. Say it again, doctor.
So I was saying anybody in the comments, they can answer the question as well. How much stability does sex offer you over the course of a relationship longitudinally?
I am a firm believer in the 7-year itch. I have studied the 7-year itch since the 1920s, going back reading about it. And I believe there is a such thing as a 5-year, 7-year itch. I believe that you have to have artistic or action-based things to keep you guys engaged. So that's the only way I can answer that question. I'm looking at it from a psychology point of view too, because people get into these marriages, and my Uncle Sammy was the best person I saw, man. He was constantly gone. He was constantly making stuff happen for himself. When he did come around his wife, it was sleep time or husband-wife time. They had less arguments. They had less problems. She had a lot of respect for how that lifestyle was. Now, is it pristine? Because I don't know. Some women want you to travel all the time. Some women want you to do this and do that all the time. This is where the vetting must happen. You need to know as a dude what type of woman you're getting into with. Is she trying to please the sisterhood? Is she trying to please doctor? There are women who try to please other women more than they please their husband. This is a responsible man. Men are supposed to be the managers of a relationship. Every religion tells you that. Even Buddhism tells you that. And the problem is a lot of guys don't want to manage other men at their work, and they don't want to manage the relationship. So how can a woman rest in her femininity? Well, she can't. She can't dream about how am I going to pleasure my man today, because the guy is constantly putting her in a survival mentality. You can't do that. So in regards to my last fiance, hey, you don't need to work 40 hours, work 30 hours, chill out. Go to the gym for 8 hours, work on that butt. You ain't got to do all that. No, I want to do, but, and so she would make moves that made her stress level go up. She would make moves that all she had to do was wait. She had a lifetime. She could have got to her goals, but she decided to make those moves. And when those moves backfired, doctor, then she would turn to her fiance, which is me, to try to get her out of what she created. I'm going to do it for you once. I'm going to do it for you twice. I'm not going to do it for you a third time because this is disingenuous to the team. What do you disagree about that, doctor?
Well, I think that you're looking at the surface material, and that's what people do when they're in a dance of relationships. The reality is, underneath the surface is respectability politics. You felt disrespected and disregarded when she didn't take your advisement. That's what I hear you saying, but you don't even know you're saying it yourself. So
No, I
when you talk about the
no,
repeated attempts to reshape her behaviors, and then she's not coming in when you're saying that you believe your responsibility in the relationship is to manage the relationship, that's exactly what that says. But hey, this isn't a therapy session. But it
yeah,
happens in most relationships.
yeah,
That's something that happens in most relationships, and why that's why I brought up that point. So relationships don't thrive and survive off of sex longitudinally, and I think that's one of the things that Kevin Samuels talks about, and that's why I continue to bring up his content, because I want you guys to understand that although he is a very negatively impactful component to the Black community, I feel like he brings up viable viable things or points for discussion, and we can definitely come up with viable solutions to those issues if we can learn to call a thing without trying to call names or assign blame.
true.
Accountability and blame are two different things. In our community, we have historically had an issue with taking accountability and making upward moves, right, into maturity. It's easy for us to whine, complain, and nag and talk about whose fault is this and who did that and who did that. But you know nothing if you know nothing of a solution.
Absolutely.
So the solution is leaning into understanding the other component so that you can come into a place of congruence within yourself to operate from a higher capacity of understanding.
Absolutely. Well, I think the only pushback I give, I agree once again with 98% of what you said. The only pushback I give was I didn't have an issue with some of the things you described. I had an issue with her. I had an issue with her trying to leverage my love for her to get her out of what she created. If she had have been, and this is the red pill conversation that many of the red pill guys have, if she had have just stuck in her own device and been accountable and got herself out of her own device that she created, or if after getting my help the first time, and I think this is the part I do agree with you with, respect that I had to help you get out last time, have that type of appreciation, then yeah, that would have been it. But I think that your other part about Kevin Samuels, um, I just wish many of the psychiatric community and counseling community and family therapists would have stepped up and been Kevin Samuels before Kevin Samuels. But we men, when we hear from many of the counselors, it's an anti-male conversation. It's a you dudes are not serving enough. The woman is perfect and you dudes are worthless. And this is why I always say to dudes when they get upset, hey, well, why be upset? This community, unlike any other USA community, constantly promotes men as disgusting and worthless. You just need to accept it and move forward. Don't try to fight it because this community wants to promote sons as despicable and daughters as great. That's just my philosophy. That's how I understand it, and it works fine for me.
Well, let me interject on that. The the only time I had the experience of other like counselors or so called therapists, and they agree with the women more than the men. That's when you step with these so called therapists that's part of the religious community, like Christians and Christianity and stuff like that. That be my only experience with them because I know they do things like that. But however, our actual real marriage and family therapist or a real psychotherapist, they don't do that at all. Period. Through my experience.
Exactly, because we don't have positions to agree with. It's about exploration, discovery, and healing. Calling a thing has nothing to do with agreeing with either part for us. That's not therapy. It's not about right or wrong in a therapeutic context. It's about what's conducive and what's not conducive. And you kind of decide what that is through your own self-discovery and exploration as you're trying to find viable means to improve your positioning in life or in your relationship or within understanding yourself.
And I totally agree because as I studied psychology, I realized that's what it was, and I do believe that the family therapists are the better of all the practices. The social workers are a little bit more honest than even the psychiatrists. I do believe in that. I believe that it's a very unfortunate thing. Once again, I think the whole premise of what I'm saying is I wish people had have been stepping up before Kevin so that they could be what they claim they don't want Kevin to be. Kevin, I think, is a bit off the deep end in his presentation. I think he has something to sell, and sometimes that something to sell causes his conversations to go negatively perceived. I will agree with everybody on that. But the core of what he's trying to say has validity in Black professionalism and Black middle class, upper class marriages. If you're trying to go that route, which is what he tries to promote. If people don't like Kevin, create a better Kevin. But people don't. They replace Kevin and then they start talking anti-male and then it starts all over again. If we don't like Tommy Sotomayor, great. We create a different Tommy Sotomayor, call her Cynthia G. And she starts talking about the Black community and her love for Black men. But when she starts seeing the dollar signs, now she becomes anti-male Cynthia G. Now we start it all over again. Now Kevin Samuels, and it'll be another female coming up to rise, and she will turn against the Black males also, because that's just how this paradigm works in the Black community. Males are hated no matter what. Talk to Oprah Winfrey.
Well, I don't necessarily subscribe to that, and I don't believe that Oprah Winfrey hates Black males. From personal conversations that we've had, I think that people are looking for women to replace men. Kevin Samuels is a man, and so he can't be replaced by a woman. So they do have a tendency to go directly against one another, head to head, toe to toe, and neither one of them is conducive to the overall gain of the Black community. So I can't say that clinicians, we ever stepped into that space, and we don't have a personal purview on who we want him to be, because we don't want him to be anybody but himself. But he's not a clinician. He's not our equal, and he barely has the education that he went to school for. So I want to make sure that's clear. So on no level are we equivalents in that when it comes to relationship advice. Kevin Samuels is a regular guy who is sharing his perspective on YouTube, like many other YouTube content creators. And I think that he's purely for entertainment. However, his impact and influence has grown because there's so much negative content. And there are so many Black men in general, with significant trauma from being in relationships where the relationships weren't conducive to what they saw the relationships panning out to be, or they've had other significant traumas from the relationship. And as a result, they can't seat themselves comfortably enough to say, okay, this is where I need growth, right? Which isn't so difficult in and of itself, but it's hard for us to sit with truths that we've not yet decided to say, okay, I see this as my truth. Because people don't do self-exploration. They don't do that. And even though, and to your point about hoping that clinicians step up, the information has been out there. Okay. But people do not, in the Black community, subscribe to positive content. They look for controversial topics. They look for controversy. They'd rather watch fights. They'd rather watch murders. They'd rather watch that kind of stuff on YouTube. That's what they would rather see. I think that we have to agree that we are attracted to negative content. People are.
Yeah, and I was actually going to make that point too, Dr. J. And I speak about this a lot on my own platform too, that at the end of the day, it's not it's not about people like Cynthia G. It's against the black community. All it's about is that this is her way of making money, making income. So she's going to talk about what sells. It's marketable. Same thing with Kevin Samuels. He talk about this, talk about it, and do all the other entertainment part because it's marketable. That's what sells. It does. Unfortunately, that's the business of social media. Period. Negative content is what brings the money in, and that's what they do. That's what different content creators do, unfortunately, in this business. But at the same time, there are plenty of positive content creators that are out there. But unfortunately, where we'll be the ones who don't get a lot of views, we don't have a lot of subscribers on our channel because we're trying to speak positivity, towards not only just a particular race, but we're trying to speak positively towards human people, period. But we don't get as many views or likes or anything like that because it's too positive for people.
And my thing is this: I'm not out here for likes or subs. I'm out here for having the difficult conversations that affect this community. And if you want to listen to it, you want to listen to it. If you want to own some of the atrocities that happen in our culture, do that. If you don't, if you want us to continue to turn a blind eye, be a part of the problem. I think that we have to be mature enough to understand that this generation of young people need guidance. And to say things like, oh, well, the older women aren't saying anything to these younger women because they're in competition with them because they're their competition. I think that that's immature. I think that's ridiculous. I think that a lot of older women are ridiculous in their behaviors,
But
but
it's
I
the
think
truth,
that
right?
no, it's not. It's a fallacy. But that's the thing. Kevin Samuels has I literally said hypnotic bait and switch. That's his modality, psychologically speaking. So he throws out things that look like they have
The bait and switch is a real thing
similarity.
too.
They
There's a
look like
lot of
they
women
have
out there that
similarity
believe
to
something.
truth, and then he mixes what he
There's a
wants
lot of
and
women out there
guys
that
start to buy
pretend to be
into it.
something. They fool the guy, they marry him, and they switch it up on them. For example, look at Brittany Renner did to the sucker named P.J. Washington. They got married. As soon as she had the kid with him, right? 2 weeks later, she divorces him.
Sir,
That was
sir,
pretty
he's
strategic of her.
sir, he's a worthless man. The black men are hated. It doesn't matter what happens to him. Women are the best.
I guess. Yo.
Well, I don't agree or subscribe to that. And the black men that I know are winning in life. So I think that when we see the atrocity, when we see the type of behaviors that the black men that you're speaking of engaging in, and you don't interfere, you don't say anything about those behaviors, but you look to make excuses for their type of outcomes, I think you're a part of the problem. Same thing when it comes to these black women.
Yeah, that guy absolutely chose that trophy wife. To be honest with, so he need to be held accountable for his decision making on
Exactly.
that part. Knowing good and well that woman being on Instagram and stuff, saying that she the first person she gonna bad, she gonna get the one tied up and everything, and he still decide to cuff her. So that is his personal accountability on that part.
Right, but if it was the other way around, that guy be in jail right now.
Stop it, sir. There
Why
is no such thing. The woman is perfect.
why
She
would he
can
be
do.
in jail if it
Look,
was the other way around?
Keith Chief
Because
was
he,
16. Keith, Keith Chief was Keith Chief was 16 years old, dating a 32-year-old woman, and the judge told that 16-year-old teenage boy to pay that 32-year-old woman child support, but he never said, "Ma'am, you're going to jail for statutory rape." No, you are black men. You are worthless in this community, and the women are supreme.
That's really interesting because there are several women who dated young boys that were 17 and they went to jail for statutory rape. Statutory rape charges have to be pursued by the parent, to make that very clear to you guys. So if the parent are not pursuing those charges, then you can't hold anybody accountable for his actions but him. And even if, you still have to hold him accountable for his actions, because just because he's underage does not mean that he doesn't have the right, or the know-how to make up his mind as to where he sticks his penis. I have teenage boys and adult boys alike. They don't stick their penises anywhere.
No,
They don't
sir.
go
No,
anywhere.
sir. No, sir. Don't you fight it. You heard Dr. say that a 16-year-old boy is responsible.
The hate is real. The hate is real.
Yeah, they're responsible enough to make a decision as to whether or not to put their penis somewhere. They know if they're old enough to engage in certain behaviors, just like the conversation earlier. They're not going to be out here drinking and doing all this extra stuff. Why? They're not old enough to do that.
So, doctor, let's keep that same energy. So 16-year-old girl with 32-year-old man, parent does not file anything. You going to keep that same energy?
Same thing. I had the same conversation about Aaliyah and R. Kelly's relationship. I said the same conversation about the females that pursued R. Kelly. Same energy.
Okay. As long as you rocking the same energy, I applaud you.
Same energy about the recent issue with the young man that was turned himself in. That's the YouTube content creator. I covered that story earlier today. So if the parents are the ones who are pushing these types of behaviors onto acceptability politics in their household on their kids, and their kids are engaging, you have to hold the parents accountable, period, point blank. I'm not out here to politicize this argument between male versus females. It's immature.
Yeah,
I'm a
but
grown-ass
earlier today,
woman.
when you was playing that video for the lady that was 25 years old, and Kevin was giving her harsh facts of reality, you said that she was a child.
She is a child, but it doesn't mean that she's not responsible or held accountable for calling into his show. I also said that.
So is that 16
me? I have two 31-year-old kids.
So
two
is
that
that
are 27, two that are 21. I have twins. So obviously, to me, she's a child. She's young enough to be my child.
I guess he's confused because you didn't refer to the 16-year-old as a child. You said that man.
No, I said him. He.
Oh, okay. I misheard. Well, I'm glad you don't subscribe to that stuff, doctor. I mean, like I said, it's all good. One thing I can say that you stand on your square. So it's all to the good. I just have the same concern this red pill brother has, that sometimes things are inconsistent. I'm just not mad at women the way red pill guys are. I just believe it's wasted energy to be mad. I'm a little snarky about it. I'll say that, but I don't waste my energy being angry. I believe the red pill community does a disservice to young boys, waking them up to anger. I think the red pill community should apply my theory of just walking past it and teaching boys to walk past it. Teach boys to get away from it. If you need sexuality, go do some overtime at work and go pay for it. Get away from these free trying to manipulate a woman into bed like Bill Cosby scenarios, because every woman has 40 years before she can file a charge on it. And it's just not worth it. Go to your local escort and get that over with. Or get married.
Yeah, another thing too is that people got to wake up to the reality that this is not everyone in the whole entire Black community who have these type of wrong behaviors. These are just the certain ones, but unfortunately, since we have social media, that behavior is displayed, that we look at it and thinking that this is a social norm for the whole entire Black community, which that is not true. There are plenty of people out there who don't resemble these type of behaviors or anything like that. There are people out there who are not feminists. There are people out there who are not part of red pill, blue pill, manosphere, nothing like that. They out there just living an honest life. But you never hear about that because, just like we said earlier, that's something that's positive versus negative things that are out there.
I mean, like, and okay, you gotta do admit, man. Like, we live in crazy times, and the social construct is totally different from the time frame when our parents was coming up. You know what I mean, at least admit on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I could see as things being different. A lot of things is different for some relationship, for some the society and culture because of different advancements of it, or as I say, the evolution of it. So yeah, absolutely, that's true. But at the
Yeah,
same time, that
you gotta
doesn't
call it
mean that this is the
evolution. I
overall
call it.
consensus of the whole
I,
entire
I
black
call it
community.
going against the divine order. Y'all say it's evolution. I call it going against the divine order of things. You know what I mean?
But
In that sense, you'd be going against the divine order by wanting to have sex with women instead of marrying them.
I'm just conforming to
Got
the
him.
environment I live in. You know what I mean? That's all. I gotta protect myself. You know what I mean?
So it's
Nah,
either that you
she got you on that one. She got you on that one.
I'm just saying though, it's either that you believe that you should be following what the Bible says that Christian men should be doing, religious men should be doing, and respecting women and marrying them and making them wives and investing in them and trusting in them to be your compass, helpmate, blah, blah, blah. Or you believe that women should be treated like commodities and have sex with them as you need to, but don't invest in them and don't marry. It's either one or the other.
hmm
I'm
and
I'm
this is
definitely going with the second option, but
There's
I
no
just
third
know.
option.
Yo, hey man, yo man, I'm protecting myself, man. That's all that is, man. Yeah, man, I'm human.
Not
and
really.
this
You're not protecting yourself. You're going to hell with gasoline draws on, based on your belief
this
system.
Hey, this is the reason why Rush I said evolution versus going the divine order. The reason why I say evolution because there are different levels to that. Because there are some people out there who want to be in monogamous relationship. There are some people who want to be in
Yo,
polyamorous
here's the thing,
relationships,
man.
or anything like
If
that.
majority of the women out there are smart, why would I, yo, why would I put myself in a subservient position with a smart? It makes no sense.
How would you
Let me
know?
ask you. Let me ask you a valid question. Have you had any success? Like I've had two ex fiancés. Have you had any success with a lady? I'm not trying to harp. I just really want to know.
When you say success, what you mean?
Like fiance, married,
No, no,
or
I've never went to never that far. I would never do that.
okay,
I'm
okay,
sucker free. I'm sucker
and,
free.
and you made sure you had no child out of wedlock. You've
Make sure I
practiced.
have no kids. I got no
Oh,
kids, man.
okay. Well, you know what? At least you're doing something so far.
I suggest that you don't have any kids.
I don't plan to have any kids, dog. Don't worry about that. There won't be a mini me walking around here. I'll tell you that.
I hope not. I hope not. But
Are
so
you gonna
I'll
blame?
say,
Are you gonna blame her if you accidentally do? Are you gonna blame her?
Nah, 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 nah. Listen. If I do knock up a check, I already know what time it is. I know what I gotta do. I'm not one
no,
of those. I'm not one of those dudes that's just not gonna handle the situation. Like I already know what time it is. I know I'm gonna get raped for my money, take care of broad in the sea. You know what I mean?
oh,
You know
God.
what I mean?
So
Until
you know
then,
what? What is
Yes.
interesting? What is so
I'm
interesting
sucker
to
free.
me?
I'm remaining sucker free. You heard?
So what is so interesting to me is this, okay? I hear black men say oftentimes child support's raping me for my money. They're taking out child support from my check and I can't see my kid. All of these things, right? But I
That's
don't see
true though,
those
Doc.
same set. Wait until I'm done. So I don't see those same set men in the courtrooms advocating for more time with their children. And I don't see
Because
those
it
same
costs
set men
money.
raising those
It costs
children because the
money to do
realities
that.
are this. Wait, these are the realities. These women are actually investing not only their finances fully in that child, but they also have the investment of their time and their attenuation to that child for the entirety of the time that they have that child. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to collect child support. So child support works this way. The non-custodial parent is the person who is responsible for contributing to the overall finances of the home in which said child is raised in, so that that child doesn't suffer as a
90% of the
result of
time,
the
women
incongruences of the
automatically
two
get
adults.
custody because they're a woman.
That's not
90%
true.
of the time.
That's
Yes,
not
it
true.
is.
That's not
Yes,
true.
it is.
If that's the
court
case,
system is
so if
solely
that's the
against
case,
the
if
man.
that's your argument and that's the case, that
court
means
system
that
is
women get
solely
custody
against the
90% of
male.
the time
You
because
have no
men walk
idea
away.
because you're not a man. You're not a man. So you're
I
not going
work
to
in the
understand what
courts.
a man goes through with the court system fighting to see his child and paying child support.
I
And you
actually
probably
do.
don't care. And I understand why you wouldn't care because it doesn't affect you. You know what I mean?
So I actually do, and I treat men just like I do women because I'm a psychotherapist. Gender is not something that is a discriminate. I can't discriminate. Sorry. But I have male clients and female clients. I have male clients that have gone through child protective services, male clients that have gone through the courts, civil courts by themselves just to file a motion to get custody of their kids. I have several males who have tried several different things to get custody of their kids, and many of them have succeeded with my guidance because I also work as a special advocate for children in the courts. So I'm gonna.
It takes a lot of effort and money.
It doesn't. So the
Men don't
same money,
have the extra energy or
that you
extra money to
claim.
deal with that.
No, the same money that you're claiming the courts can rape you for, if that's the argument, you can use that to get your kids. So longitudinally, that same money goes back into your pockets and you're collecting child support from the mother, if that's the case.
What female you know that pays child support and they got to pay for a lawyer to handle
Many of them, all of
situations?
them in the state of Georgia that don't have custody of their kids, all of them in other states that don't have custody of their kids.
Okay, if a female has to pay child support and she has no custody with her kids, she's probably a crackhead and homeless.
No,
that's
I know
not
I know a lot of nurses that got to pay. So
That's not.
Yeah, me too. I know a lot of
So-
women that
Right, and
child
it
support
doesn't,
too.
they don't have to be a nurse. They don't have to have a certain type of career. It just has to be a more feasible situation that the children reside with the father over the mother. And people think they have to vilify the other parent in order to get those, to get custody of their kids and all that stuff. You don't have to do all of that. You don't have to do all of that.
All I'm saying, it's not a fist. When it comes to the court system dealing with child and custody and all that, it's not a fair game for the male.
It ain't supposed to be fair. It ain't supposed to be fair. You are a worthless male. You're supposed to always have your lawyer money. Why do you think white guys are always lawyer tight? Black dudes don't get that part of the game. Black dudes are looking for fairness and let me just exist. Nobody wants that.
So that's not true. 100% of all of the black males that have come through my practice have gained full access and custody to their children. 100%, 100%, and they are all black. And the mothers didn't have to be a poor parent, have poor decision making per se, or any of that. So the court appoints guardian ad litems, and you don't necessarily need to have money because paupers can be filed in the courts as well. That's an indigent defense. So the courts cannot discriminate against a man who is pursuing a court case simply because he doesn't have the means to pay. They can't. So if you really don't have the means to pay and you are within the poverty guidelines for your state, that is definitely an option for you. And they will definitely make sure they take care of all of the court costs and also the guardian ad litem. And if the mother is deemed to be financially fit enough to pay those costs, she will have to absorb all of the costs of that.
If you make more than $9 an hour, you are screwed. You got to make under.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Crazy. So again, even though you guys have I don't know why black people do that, but you guys always talk about the money, amounts of money. Amounts of money have absolutely nothing to do with your indigent defense. You have to look at the cost of living.
You don't have these problems.
Being a female has nothing to do with intricate knowledge of the court system, legal system.
It has a big difference on what kind of perspective you have with the courts on how they treat the men in the court system.
To be honest with you, I don't have a perception on the courts either way. I only judge in fairness. That's it. I
I,
take politics out of everything that I do. I'm a pragmatist. It's what
I
makes
think I think in Doctor's defense, for her region and her area and the situation she deals with, she is speaking from what she believes to be true, and it probably is true. Two things can be true at once. But I will agree with the red pill guy. Like in other areas where people don't really care about the outcome of the kid, they don't care if the kid becomes a homeless. They really don't care. They just want their percentage. I believe those things outside of Dr. J's situation can be true. So let's just, in fairness, say that there are probably 250,000 people like Dr. J. Uh, Dr. J is just trying to say she keeps it straight down the middle. Okay. So let's say there are 250,000 people like her. Unfortunately, we have to deal with the other 750 that are not like Dr. J. So I believe that, just in all fairness of moving the conversation along, I do believe Dr. J is just straight down the middle about her practice, about people she helps or what have you, or the outcome. It's just the industry is venomous. Maybe not Dr. J, but and people she's interacted with, just the other 750,000 is terrible.
So it wouldn't matter how many people believe that way. Your mindset actually considerably contributes to your outcomes. So if your mindset is that you're hopeless before you ever get started, that's exactly what you will manifest. So you will fail. So the realities are these.
Say that. When you're not in that kind of predicament
You don't have any children.
and you're not paying child support
You don't have any children.
and you're not paying child support and fighting for
This is
custody.
what I do
So
for
you
a
have no
living.
idea.
I sit
You
in
have no idea what it's like.
civil cases. I actually do know what it's like intimately. I sit in on civil cases. I'm the person that works as the eyes and ears of the judge. These are things that I do on a regular basis. So I'm the person that navigates the intimacies and intricacies of these people's relationships and the dynamics thereof in order to make those decisions.
Let me take Mr. Red Pill's argument, Doctor, just because I'm somewhat knowledgeable, just like you are, somewhat. Why does father of record exist? If everything is supposed to be fair, why does father of record exist? Dr. J?
What do you mean?
You don't know what father of record is? You're in the court. You know what father of record is.
Mm-mm.
Interesting.
We use biological father and alleged father and
Well, maybe you guys might call it alleged father. So why does
father.
why does alleged father exist? Why does that exist?
Because whenever a court case come before the courts, the facts have to be founded in order for us to move forward with calling any official names, the same as alleged rapist.
Oh, okay. Well, no, this wouldn't count under that. Father of record is when a person has stated that this person is the father and they put down that this person is the father, even though DNA proves that it's not the father.
You're talking about the paternity affidavit having come forth before the legitimation on the court's docket.
I'm talking about the court forcing the legitimation regardless of the evidence.
So the only way a father can sign a birth certificate or a father can be put on a birth certificate is if that father is the natural husband of the mother, in which that makes him default be the legal father of that child, the natural father of that child, or the father fills out a paternity affidavit, which is a form that is filled out at the hospital and given to vital records that is also in the social workers component of the hospital. And then they file that with the birth certificate, and he's now on the birth certificate.
Okay, I got you.
Those are the only ways for you can legally go on the birth certificate.
Okay, I got you. So on behalf of Mr. Red Pill, what I'm suggesting to you, there have been cases where the guy never signed the paperwork, never was there for never was there for the birth, and in some cases that have reached YouTube epidemic, never even had sex with the woman, and the judge dropped his gavel and made the guy pay $50,000 and $30,000 for a kid the court knows isn't his. You don't experience that type of stuff, and that's why Mr. Red Pill keeps
Actually,
telling
no, I sit in on those cases too. So those cases are
so why did
situations where the
so,
mother
so,
has
so
gone
what
through
are they called?
a child abandonment warrant. Child,
What are they called?
a child abandonment warrant is filed on a father who is the legitimized father by way of the paternity affidavit. He signed the birth certificate in the hospital.
See, you back to that. I just omitted.
I'm telling you what's required for them to sign the absent father or the child abandonment warrant.
I totally understand, doctor, and I'm not discrediting your expertise on the matter.
Okay, so even if that's what I'm saying, even in those cases where a child abandonment warrant comes into play and dad hasn't seen the woman, had sex with the woman or anything like that, he does get public notification of the fact that there is a court case coming up in the immediate 10 to 14 days so that he can present and defend himself against the allegations of him being the father. In those cases, typically, he's still the alleged father because many times the mother doesn't even have a birth certificate to submit into evidence. So after he doesn't show, he is presumed to be the father, and child support will be ordered because it's considered to be contempt of court, failure to appear.
Okay. And what do you justify as public notice?
They file it with the local newspaper. They also go to the last residence of the person and they serve them there.
Okay. So you're agreeing with Red Pill that this action does exist, but I think you're making light of.
That's not making light of the situation. I'm making the fact that Black people need to learn to read and go to court. So just because you feel like, well, I'm not the daddy, so this case won't move forward, doesn't remove your responsibility after you've been served diligently by a sheriff for you to show up in court and say, okay, this is how I know I'm not the father. And then that's dismissed, is thrown out. So
Okay.
it's still about maturation.
Okay. Now, I'm not disagreeing with nothing you said again. What I'm saying is there's a different experience outside of yours where the court has falsified serving a person, where the guy did not read the newspaper, as you said. And this goes to Mr. Red Pill's argument. I'm just taking on his argument for you because I believe there's some things you don't believe actually happens in relation to the court outside of your anecdotal experience as a professional.
I believe that the courts has a checks and balances system. So if at the magistrate level or the state level they don't do justice, you go and you take it to federal court and you appeal. That's why they have appellate court. So everything that goes on a docket, every order that is confirmed can be overturned, can be vacated.
Listen to what you just said, respectfully. Mr. Red Pill has to come up with his own money to take it to appellate.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Indigent defense says if he does not make the adequate funds to fight said case, the state will absorb the cost for him to take that to court.
Okay, doctor, but it doesn't happen like that. But I respect
it doesn't happen like that because there is ignorance in the Black community. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. I'm saying that ignorance is what leads to these situations. I know several people personally that have been a party to those types of actions, but none of them have paid child support. They all showed up in court because that's common sense. That's what court's for. So if you have a hood mentality and you think, oh, by not going to court, you're going to evade having an order,
you keep introducing that. You keep introducing that, doctor. And that's why I say you keep omitting what I'm actually saying. And
I get what you're actually saying. So the realities are, if you show up to that first court date, the motion doesn't go forward.
Okay, let's not introduce evidence that we're not discussing. We're talking about people who have not. So
there is no evidence on that first court date.
No, there's no notification, as you claim, in a newspaper or a person being served. That happens quite often.
How quite often? Find me a case.
I've known several cases.
Give me the
Several
cases. Give me the names.
Doctor, I'm not going to give you the names of people that I don't have permission to give you the names of.
Okay, so if it happened,
you are a state official. You are a state official,
if
doctor.
it happened, and that is your argument, and no court overturned it because the person didn't decide to pursue it and take it to the next level. If it happened, as you say, it's not anywhere I've ever seen.
And that's why
It's
I feel
illegal. So the realities are we live in a place that it has a checks and balances system. Everything in our legal system has checks and balances. Everything does.
I concede the floor, and I agree with Mr. Red Pill. Guys go through something different, and women will never understand it.
You can say that, but everybody's got an opinion.
Let
me go ahead and speak from my experience with dealing with family court. I do have to agree to a certain extent with the red pill movement. With this, there is a certain disparity with not just black men, but just men, period, dealing with the family court systems. But however, I also agree with Dr. Jefferson for us the ignorance behind it. I believe that many young men do not know or understand the family court system or the family court laws to help them. So therefore they come in and already come into the one system blindly, not knowing that it's a lot of opportunities and support out there to help them. Now, with my particular situation, when I went through my divorce, I did have to go through the family court system because we had to go through a one custody battle with our children. Well, what I wanted was that I wanted us to have joint conservatorship custody because I didn't want my children to be lacking without their mother because I seen that wasn't feasible. So. Well, when I went into the family court system the first time around, I ended up hiring attorneys, put in an $1,800 retainer, but this lawyer was full of crap. So the lawyer misrepresented me and everything and stuff, right? So that's a whole different issue. So what I ended up doing is that I started educating myself about the family court system. Then I learned that through civil court that I could actually represent myself, but I just needed to know the certain laws and stuff to file certain motions and stuff. Unfortunately, since I was making sustainable income, I wasn't one of the ones who the court was able to pay for my court fees. I had to come out of pocket and pay my own court fees and stuff. But however, my court fees was no different from a dude going out and buying a pair of J's, to be quite honest with you, and this in the state of Texas. So a dude would go out and buy some J's, well, probably like $300. That's at most I've spent. That's $300 filing my own motions and everything, and so $300. And through all that, I went through the system and got what I was asking for, the joint conservatorship, with our children stuff. Now, if I didn't do what I did, do my due diligence, finding about the family laws or anything like that, of course, I've been another black man who was a victim of allowing a woman take full advantage of the system, full advantage of the system, full child support and everything and stuff. If I didn't do what I had to do. So at the end of the day, with us being men, I feel that it's our responsibility to also understand the different laws. So, the said state that you live in, especially family court laws. And that's what's going to help you to, get through the system, period. If you don't know it, if you don't understand it, then yeah. Or if you, other situations too, where if you just flat out you're getting served, but you don't show up to your court date, stuff like that, then the court's going to file a motion to wherever that the said person is going against you with. Period. That's what's going to happen, and that's what corrects that certain scenario that old boy was talking about. Even though that scenario is To be honest with you, that scenario is really rare.
Exactly.
You know, it's really rare, but it can happen. But that all goes to the point that if you don't show up to court, if you're not representing yourself, then yeah, situations like that will happen. Where also situations where um, you show up to court and they trying to determine how much child support. If you're not there, then of course they're going to just agree with whatever the mother say and going to want to file this high motion where you end up paying like thousands and thousands of dollars just because you wasn't there to represent yourself or have somebody to represent you.
So the reality is this. I understand that you guys really do want to kind of get on this idealism of blaming women for men's problems and saying that women just don't understand what men go through. The reality is this. Many Black men in our society nowadays, you guys all subscribe to the same broken mentality. And because you're subscribing to the same broken mentality, what happens is you have the same results, and they're not necessarily desired results. So I think that the solution is to pair yourselves with reliable mentors and the men that you allow to be a part of your energy center in your life, and get reliable information and educate yourself, advocate for self, and stop thinking that the system is against you, because the system is not geared up to be against Black men. You and your mentality are in your own way. Get out of your own way, elevate yourself with your consciousness and education, and position yourself in the proper space. Stop trying to look to have sex with all these women. Like,
you know what, Dr. Jefferson. This goes back to what I was talking about earlier about for us, the content creator. There are many content creators on YouTube right now that advocate about what we're talking about right now in this particular session. They teach you everything that you need to know about handling the one system in your said state. But all you got to do is tune into their channel. All you got to do is Google them or however way you do it, and they'll teach you how to go into the system. But you got to make that choice. Well, if you want to learn this knowledge or not, it's out there.
Yeah, it's all what you want for yourself. So when people ask me, when people ask me, should Kevin Samuels be canceled? I do understand that he has a significant impact on people. And obviously the reason his followers are the way they are, because they don't realize that they're being subjected to that level of influence through hypnosis and watching his content and watching him be repetitive in his arguments and things like that, as he's conditioning them.
This is the reason why he has this kind of fan base.
I get that. I've already talked to the fact that they're trauma bonding.
There is a problem with there is a problem with the court systems, and there is a problem on how the laws protect women and arrest men. You know what I mean?
I don't agree.
Brian Banks, for example, Brian Banks, the football player that was accused for rape, he was falsely accused of rape. Did a 5-year bid. When he came home, he figured out a way to get the girl to tell the truth, and he was exonerated from those charges. Tell me that's not fair.
What's not fair?
Him going to jail for a crime that he did not commit.
Well, how did he?
All because the female felt bad of being a smut at the moment. She was doing smut activity.
Well, I don't know the details. I don't know the details of that case, so I can't speak to that. But I will say this, sometimes I think there's still a thing about accountability. So if you're not in that situation, how can you ever be blamed of raping anybody? That's still the solution is still for men to learn to invest in healthier sexual activity.
Hold on, let me say this. Going behind the wall for a crime like that's the death sentence in itself. That chick need to get her head cut off for that shit, man. They're wrong.
So the first thing is this: we don't know whether or not there is, any validity to the claims or not. But if he went to jail, obviously it was provable in court. or he decided to plea out. Either way, it's still him.
I think he was forced to plead out, but it's the
You
same
can't be
case. I'm surprised
forced.
you don't know about it.
You
I'm
can't
surprised
force.
you don't know about it.
So you
They
can't,
even made a movie
force
about it.
someone to plea out of anything. You can't.
He's arrested for a crime that he did not commit. He was innocent. The girl
If
told the
he
truth
was innocent, he
after
would
he
not
got
have pleaded.
arrested.
If
And
he was
those charges,
innocent,
but
he
he was
wouldn't have pled
exonerated
out.
from those charges.
If he was
So
innocent, he
for
would
you to
not have
say you
pled
don't see
out.
nothing wrong with that, I mean, that
No,
just
I'm
shows that
saying
you're not
that if
fooled.
he, no, I'm saying if he was innocent, he wouldn't have pled out. So, official urban therapist, and also for the men who are watching and women watching the show right now, how many of you are willing to take a plea deal for a crime you know you didn't commit, didn't have anything to do with? There is no way that it could be
Doesn't
taken
matter.
out
He
of
was innocent.
context.
He was innocent. He was innocent.
I'm
She told
taking
the
the plea
truth.
deal and going to jail for
You
20
taking that
years.
plea deal? You gonna take that plea deal for 20?
Yeah, I'm gonna take that plea deal for go to jail for 20 years so they can make a Lifetime movie about it when I get exonerated.
Good God.
Then I'll be making money.
Better hope you don't drop that soap while you're in there. Listen, I'm not taking any pleas for anything that I didn't do. Period. So here is the reality around this thing. Okay. If you says if the plea is 5 to 20 years or potential life without parole, I'm taking the plea.
Yeah. Take that plea deal, and get exonerated. They're gonna make a movie about you. You begin getting royalties in. See,
Oh,
God
well,
is good.
I don't care about no movies, exposure, none of that. All I care about is my freedom. So if I know for a fact that I didn't do anything in court, everything is about burden of proof. And it's the burden of proof is always on the prosecution. So if there is no way that these people can prove that I did this or that, there is no way I'm taking a plea. Period.
Well, we don't know. We don't know what kind of situation he was dealing with.
All I know, I don't care what kind of situation.
Sometimes the police will be a confession out of you. You know what I mean? You should know that. You've been to war, right?
I have, and I've been accused of war crimes, but I've never been in jail.
I did. So you know what time it is when the cops is in there whooping your ass, making you to admit some shit you ain't fucking do. You know what I mean?
I'm still not fessing up to something I didn't do.
You ain't built like that, man.
You can sit me in there, you can torture me, you can go through the whole range of things because I've been trained for that. What I'm not gonna do is say I did something and I know I didn't.
It's funny how you guys are just so dismissive with this guy's life experience of being falsely accused of rape. Like it's just nothing.
So being falsely accused of rape can be a lot of things. People can mistake a lot of things. I'm pretty sure that once this Brother Polite situation unfolds, I'm pretty sure a lot of folks are going to say that he was falsely accused because he'll be exonerated of the current charges.
He's a different story. You know I mean, he probably did it. You know what I
mean? No. So this isn't about whether or not he did it or not. Court is about what
let me tell you how
foul.
Let me tell you how foul the shit was. What Shorty did after she accused this dude of rape, she then sued the school and received a settlement of I think $3 million. But when homeboy got out of jail and she confessed that, hold on, let me finish. When homeboy got out of jail and she confessed that he didn't rape her, the school then turned around and sued her for the $3 million that she done already spent up. So tell me how fucked up that shit is, man. You can't tell me that shit's not fucked up.
No, I'm saying if he never put himself in that predicament, he never would have been accused. And he never would have played out.
You said that to your son if he was falsely accused of rape?
Of course.
So let me ask you a question.
This is why there's Midtown, man. Because y'all thoughts on how the lawsuit work like this, it's crazy, man.
And my son's dealt with the legal system a couple of times, and they came out on a positive end each time. So for me, I'm a pragmatist. I don't believe in conspiracies and all of that stuff. I believe in results, and that's what we do here in this household. So for me, If my son never put himself in that predicament, which my sons, I would never have to worry about that. They're smart enough to know. They've demonstrated
If
time and
they're
time
in
again.
America, they got something to worry about.
No, they don't have anything to worry about. And I
All
say
the
that with
female needs
confidence.
is a first and last name. You going to jail for rape. That's all she
So,
needs, man.
like I
Yo, you
said,
shouldn't even check your real name, B. Like
my
straight up.
sons don't ascribe to rape culture.
I ain't never say never, man. Never say never.
They just don't.
All right.
And I can say that with absolute confidence.
So let me ask a question. Based on what Typical had posted earlier about the if it's a plea deal, 5 to 20 years or potential life without parole. What would happen if that person denied both of them type of deals? What would be the next process after that?
Exactly.
Yeah, man.
Because that's the thing I think people don't
Man,
understand.
what I'm saying is, yo, a lot of things is totally like, a lot of y'all chicks out there, y'all claim to be oppressed, but really it's the men that's being oppressed out here, man. This is crazy, man.
Well, I don't
It's
feel
literally,
oppressed.
literally
I
a dude
think,
gotta walk on eggshells, man, to be around an environment with a female because she can say anything, you can go to jail for that. You know what I mean?
well, that means that you need to stop putting yourself in those predicaments.
So going to work and being accused of rape while you're going to work is putting yourself in a fucked up predicament, right?
Who would accuse you of how many men?
Any female could do that. That's
How many men? How many men are accused of rape and they don't have any relationship whatsoever with the woman?
To happen. You know what I mean?
How many men have been accused of rape and had no relationship with the woman who is the accuser and been prosecuted? It doesn't happen because for the prosecution to pursue cases, they have to be able to win them. Why don't you think Bill Cosby's case never went to court until he finally went on record saying that he did the things that they prosecuted him for?
A friend of mine, right? I left. He ended up going to another spot with his chick or whatever. No, they went to a frat party, right? After he left the frat party, didn't do nothing with her. She accused him of rape. Now, this is a Middle Eastern guy, right? His father got bread, so it was nothing to get him out that tight situation, right? Mm-hmm. So he gets arrested, right? He sees me, right? He's like, yo, dog, you won't believe what just happened. I'm like, yo, what? Yo, I just got arrested for rape, da-da-da, whoa, whoa, whoa. He said, yo, if his father didn't put up, I think 20 racks or something, because he got to pay a private investigator to get involved, right? Then he had to pay court fees. Then he had to pay for his bond to get out, or whatever. So, because he had that bread, his father had that bread to get him out of that situation. If his father didn't have that money, man, he would have did a stretch for that. You know what I mean? Because he had the money to fight that those allegations, those charges they was trying to pin on him. And turns out he was innocent and he beat that shit. And he never had sex with this chick.
So either way, if he had money or not, he still could have gone to court. And if he never had sex with a woman, they wouldn't have had DNA evidence in order to tie him to having sex with her, i.e. rape. So he still wouldn't have gone to jail. I think that you still don't understand. It's about burden of proof. It's about inalienable facts in court. So you can have this conversation and talk about conspiracies all you want to. But in court, it's about facts. Prosecution, prosecute cases they can win.
And then a personal friend of mine, the situation went through is a conspiracy. Yo, yeah.
I'm talking about the way that you focus on how it unfolded due to the money situation. Like I said earlier, when we reviewed the conversation about this polite guy, whatever he is, if the allegations are sexual battery, he will beat the charges because you need DNA to prove that this happened. So if they don't have DNA, it's just her word against his word, and the words don't matter. It don't matter. So if you don't have DNA to say that he did this, it's not going to go anywhere. So what you're going to see is they're going to publicize the arrest so they can try to get some Me Too movement going. After that, you're going to see them trump up other charges because that is the process. The prosecutor, the DA's office, will not take a case that they cannot win because it is their job to manage the finances of the state. I don't understand how you don't understand that. When you talking about the judicial problems and judicial process and dollars, that's where dollars come into play. They cannot take a case that they cannot prove without a shadow of a doubt. Period. Point blank. So it don't matter how many conspiracy theories that you got around the system being against people. The state has to account for every conviction that they have. And you have 12 people that do not know you on a jury.
He did not commit for a crime that he did not commit.
He cannot be locked up for anything if he didn't plead to it, or if he didn't have 12 people that he don't even know on a jury that looked at the evidence, the facts of the case, and said this dude is guilty. That's just how that goes. That's how that goes, period. There is no arguing that fact. Black people got to get out of this mindset where you really buy into this bullshit. This is just not fact. You have a jury of 12 people for a reason.
Yeah,
the jury is selected by you and the prosecution for a reason.
Ability to understand the struggles.
I understand that there is ignorance. Ignorance leads you to make these assumptions. So if you're representing yourself in a situation where you decided to go pro se in a criminal proceeding, you are the person that's picking said jury to prosecute. To make a decision as to whether or not you're guilty based on the evidence. So that means you would still be the person that's picking the jury along with the prosecution. If you have an attorney, your attorney is picking that said jury. So it's a combined consensus of 12 individual people. And the juries do have their biases. But guess what? You know that when you're selecting the jurors. So you either select them or you dismiss them. That's the process. No, lawyers don't pick the juries if you are pro se. If you are representing yourself, you pick the jury. Just you, because you don't have an attorney on record. For example, the young man that just represented himself recently, like 2 weeks ago, that murdered his girlfriend and his ex-girlfriend, baby mama, and his 8-year-old daughter, and tried to kill his son. That black man, he picked his jury. He did. So y'all need to stop running these conspiracy theories as if
this is not a conspiracy.
Some system is set up against you.
My personal friend is not a conspiracy. Yo, these things really happen. It's just that you don't care enough to even acknowledge it.
I care a lot. I'm a social justice advocate. So I advocate for knowledge, not foolery.
It's cool. This is it is what it is, Doc. You know what I mean?
You just have to know the facts. So if you do not know, educate yourself. That is the key. Educate yourself. Elevate yourself by educating yourself. The system cannot be set up against black men unless black men position themselves in the system.
Yo, the best way to deal with the system is
I went pro se representing myself.
Right.
So y'all crazy.
He did it. He did it though. He represented himself. He knew he killed him. He never denied it. He denied that the magnitude of murder was adequate.
Yo,
And at
man,
the end of the damn trial, he didn't even apologize to the family of his child that he's murdered. And his son that he's almost murdered, that he attempted to murder, is right there.
Yo, Central Park 5, yeah, that situation too. There was no DNA brought up in that, and they still got locked up.
It was no DNA brought up in what?
The Central Park 5 situation. They was falsely accused of raping that lady, and they all got arrested for that, which they never committed that rape crime. It was some other dude.
So who was the one person who confessed to the crime?
I think they all had to take a plea.
That's the point. A plea is a confession, genius. So that's my point.
Don't take it from my I don't know. But
you either do or you don't do a thing.
But the thing is, 5 men with no DNA on this chick was arrested for something that they didn't do.
So they were arrested, but they were not found guilty by a jury. They pled out, which means they admitted guilt.
I think, like I said, I don't know the mechanics on how the situation went down with Central Park 5, but I do know they were innocent. I don't know if they took a plea or not, but they were arrested for something that they didn't do.
He goes with the exceptions to the rule as a general consensus because it's an easy way out and an easy way to avoid accountability. That's easy, fear coach. You should know that. So it doesn't matter if their kids are not under pressure. Let me tell you something. If you have not done a thing, you're not going to say you did a thing. So this is what I'm going to say. In closing, I think that we as a community, we need more accountability. We need to admit that, you know, having a person like Kevin Samuels bring about these very controversial topics for us to discuss is a point that is very much needed. But I feel like he's just going through something. He said Kevin Samuels isn't a case of midlife crisis. He's a case of life crisis. But you can see, he's going through an influx of mood and congruence and everything at the beginning of that video that I showed you. Guys got to go back and watch it from the very beginning. But so I think that you have to understand that atrocities happen in every system, including the legal system. But we have to be people who are pragmatic and understand that we cannot go with the vast majority of people who have no experience in these said systems, making their opinions based off of what they see a few times. If we as people reposition ourselves and increase the accountability concepts and our systemic constructs around what our standards are in our community, I think that we will not be having so much interaction with the police officers. We move out of these mindsets that tell us a dollar sign, a certain amount of money is needed in order for us to be successful, instead of having a financially congruent mindset and be wealthy. I think that we can be people who are not looking for instant gratification and can look for longitudinal satisfaction out of life, and we can put our best foot forward. We are struggling as a community because there is such an abundance of ignorance, and more ignorant people subscribe to the same ignorance that the other people are putting out there. So if we manage what it is that we're taking in, and as a result, we put positive energy back into the atmosphere around us, then we can be the change that we want to see in our environment. If you guys want to divest from the community, and date outside, because I think I saw that comment earlier, do that. But either way, make common sense decisions that don't lead you down this rabbit hole of destruction and then try and make excuses for your lack of personal congruence. I think that we just got to do a better job at accountability. Anything you got, official urban therapist, in closing?
Your full essay has summed it up.
Rush, you got anything else about remaining sucker free?
Oh, of course. Yo, seek wisdom, practice humility, and remain sucker free, you heard? And stay out the system. They ain't got no love for you, you heard?
You know what I mean? That's my boy Rush, man. Much respect to you, bro.
I just absolutely.
Same to you, urban therapist. And I really like you, Doc. I really do.
Oh, really? Really?
Nah, seriously.
Oh, well, that's a nice thing, I think, right? Yeah.
Coming from Rush, yes, that is.
Oh,
You gotta take it where you get it.
good God. Well, thank you, Rush. So, in closing, you guys go out there, be vigilant, okay, be present, and please be positive. Put positive energy into the atmosphere, and please do not impede upon anybody else's peace in your journey to establish your own personal congruence. If you are a person who believes in divesting from relationships, if you feel like, our men and women have gone just too far left or too far right, and there is no hope for relationships in the Black community, I want you to continue to share your insights on the topic. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff on the YouTube channel. Even if you guys are on Facebook, come on back over to the YouTube side and do that part, because I am in the process of growing this channel. You guys got to start listening to the more positive stuff anyway, and stop putting all that negative energy into the atmosphere and recirculating that, So it is what it is. So that is all that I have. I want to say thank you to the chat. You guys have been friggin' amazing. And also to my panelists that have come up here and shared their insights and had a healthy exchange and dialogue with me. Please understand that any of you who do not agree with me, it is okay for you guys to not agree, right? You can say whatever you want to. You can get on here and you can curse me the fuck out if you want, right? Just find a way to do that respectfully, and as long as you have a point of view that's somewhere in that, right? I have really tough skin. So I've enjoyed having this debate, and I really feel like we need to start talking about this more often. Okay. So that's all I got. You guys be safe out there in these streets. Take care.
Who alive can't put me in a box. I redefine any definition you got. I am the tiger, I'm making steps to the top. The flames, I whip it up, you just gotta hand me the rock. Take a seat, you cannot stand it. All I know, the flow harder than a Scotch bonnet. Don't try it good than me, you cannot manage. This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon. This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon.